Yeah.
Let's officially start. So, welcome to a Clevelandmoto podcast. This is number 321.
Yeah.
Yay.
The Orange Julius podcast.
This is the Orange Julius podcast. We should call this the Orange Fulius. So, this is definitely not a Mai Tai. Oscar brought a fifth of rum. So he got a fifth of Don Q, and then we supplemented it with a whole bunch of Stroh's overproof Austrian spiced rum. And then we supplemented that with some Jim Beam. And then we cut it back with some Trader Vic's Mai Tai mix and some pine orange banana because we couldn't get pineapple juice.
Pine.
Right.
Okay. Pineapple.
So pine apple orange banana juice.
A little bit of pine salt.
Honestly, I gotta say, for being what it is,
it's tasty.
It's a pretty good version of what it is.
Hell yeah.
It is. But it is definitely an Orange Julius minus the egg.
This could be dangerous.
I think you're right.
And Kromke brought a bag of hooligans.
Jello shots. So we have a bag of Jello shots. My flavor was orange, and the color was orange. I'm pretty sure the blue ones are going to taste like blue.
That tastes like Windex.
Exactly. And to my immediate left, we have...
Oscar.
Hey, Oscar. Oh, and by the way, we're going to announce that only one person rode a bike tonight because it was lightly precipitating. Yep. And that was Steve Hoffert. He rode his monkey. And then to the left,
Nick the monkey.
If Nick had headphones on, he would know how impossibly quiet he was. Yeah. Just now. Yeah.
Nick.
That's better. I think we should make him do that for the entire podcast. And then to his left,
Steve Hoffert.
Excellent. And to his left,
Johnny Mac.
Very good. And to his left,
Dan Kromke.
Now remember, to the podcast listeners, that is clockwise on your radio dial. So if you're looking at your speakers, you have to look in a clockwise rotation. When we say to his left, we always start with 12 o'clock on the dial, and we go down from there. And then Sleepy.
Right, I'm here.
In the 10 o'clock position.
Yeah, basically.
And then to his left,
Chris Smith.
And you're going to notice that Chris Smith sounds different tonight. Thank we made him move his chair.
and he's on the punishment mic because we didn't realize there was going to be 8 people.
Right, and we haven't had 8 people in a podcast in a long time, so he's on the punishment mic, first of all. And second of all, we had to move him because we have so much food and drinks and shit in the kitchen. He was in the way.
Yeah.
Normally he sits in the kitchen, but we didn't have room in there.
We didn't have enough space for him, so that's it. I'm happy to say I've had my second COVID shot.
Nice.
Yay. So that was great.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I mean, it's super cool. And I was commenting earlier that when I went in for my second shot, I had my appointment set for Tuesday, but I was busy, so I couldn't do it. So I had to reschedule it for Wednesday. And I went in there, it was a fucking ghost town. They were on the street yelling, shot, 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 shot. And that was it. And there was just girls taking their tops off, but nobody was actually getting COVID shots. So, yeah, it was a shame. But Cleveland apparently has all the Pfizers. I don't know what the deal is, but I've had Pfizer,
Moderna.
You had Moderna?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Hey, I paid $10 more, and I get the good stuff.
To get the Moderna. Yeah, but you don't get a hard dick. Yeah.
Well, that has nothing to do with Moderna.
My wife got the J&J down in Minerva, down by Canton, Ohio.
Get out of here. So that is like a unicorn spotting is the Johnson & Johnson virus.
She got that the very first, or like the second day it was available.
Oh, wow.
They're testing that on the people on the periphery.
It's the chewable aspirin version of the vaccine.
If it messes up their genes, it's not really going to be a big deal. They're already kind of...
I was going to say, how do you have a test base for that? And you're like...
Messy genes, you mean?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Right, messy genes, yeah. So we've inserted this into the gene puddle, and that's where we are. I don't know if you guys know, but one of our podcast listeners, Kevin, actually has gotten the very first ever Trail 125. Ooh. Fucking actually has it, owns it in his name, went to the dealership and picked it up.
Call that motherfucker. We want to talk to him.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, for real. Yeah, we all want to ride your bike. Yeah. And when I first got the message, I thought that the message had come from Kevin Rosman, which I was like, oh, Kevin owes us some favors. We can get Kevin out here and make him let us ride his bike. But it wasn't. So it's Kevin, podcast listener. So Kevin's got it, and he's loving it. But to give you an idea, he put his deposit down on his bike 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. And
what was the final price? Did he tell you?
We could look it up. I mean, that's not hidden data. But but what I will know is that I went to our BMW dealer on Brook Park Road. So I went to Sills, and I did the online thing where you go online to your Honda dealer and you express your interest so that the dealership knows that you exist and is supposed to call you and lavish you with gifts and then do what they can to extort a deposit out of you. I did not get a phone call. And that tells you like where the breakdown is. So John, on the other hand, put an interest. John, tell the folks what you did.
Well, I smelled blood in the water. I missed the last podcast and everything, and I'll be honest, I've been looking at that Versys for weeks, and I kind of...
Oh, I'm sorry, which one of the 3 Versys that we had up until just 2 days ago?
The cheapest one.
Yeah, okay.
But I felt the one of the most value for the money because it only had 1,700 miles on it.
It's got no miles on it.
That's the old one, and I don't mind that it's got the head. I kind of like that one that doesn't look like a
sport bike.
Well, I didn't like the insect front and cell. I like the headlight over
the old Punisher headlight. Yeah,
I kind of like that one. And then Steve happened to mention it around the lunch table that, oh yeah, some guy bought that and duffed it and crashed it, and I'm like, oh, perfect. Now it's cheap. Now it's even better. I can get it on a salvage title. I'm like, I'll swoop in and scoop that up in a minute. I'm like,
but you can't buy it on a Friday night.
So I was like, well, let me go look. I'm pretty sure it's and it was listed up on the website. And I'm like, I'll do this the proper way.
Right.
I'll go in and I'll fill it out, and I'll be like, I would like to schedule a test ride for the Versys.
Oh, and Renee goes through all of our contacts, like so she vets the contacts first to make sure somebody's not asking for a ride on a bike we don't have or something.
And I'm expecting a test ride with the handlebars like maybe they don't have to.
Later on, guys, I'll invite you guys to go over and look at it. I don't know if you haven't seen it yet. It is crashed, but the guy took it out. He made it less than a mile. But long story longer, Renee goes, fucking John's a punter. And I was like, we have
it's taking you that long to realize.
At our shop, at our shop, we call them punters. And sure as hell, she forwarded it to me, and I was like, God damn it. But I'm going to say, John, you might have fucked yourself.
Oh.
Because the bike that you thought was crashed isn't the bike that was crashed.
Oh.
And now that you've told us how much you love that 2014, I'm happy to report it was the 2015 that got crashed. So the bike you wanted to buy is still available.
All right.
I'm glad we can follow through on that deal for you.
We can talk about it.
He's telling me about these piles of money he has.
I was waiting for somebody to get back with me for my test ride.
Oh, I wanted to do it in person.
Just to twist the knife right in there.
Oh, you thought you were being funny, huh? Well, we do update our website daily.
I really wasn't being funny. I was.
No, so the bike you want.
If that bike was crashed and then got lightly fixed, or you didn't feel like fixing it and you wanted to get rid of it,
the 14 with no miles on it is still available.
Well, I'm interested.
Yeah, it's over there. But the 15 got laid out. So
so it was one of the newer bikes.
It was one of the newer ones. So how I've been pimping the Versys since you've known me. But we had 3 of them here because why not buy 3 of them?
I mean, Steve said at one point on the podcast, you said that Versys was $3,000.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
He said he was going to do this.
Right. Yeah. Oh, we had somebody call and be like, yeah, I'm buying that Versys. And I was like, which one? And so we totally didn't put 2 and 2 together, but podcast listeners did in fact call and try to reel in a $3,000 Versys. And Renee was like, oh yeah, this guy put in a credit app. He did all this stuff. And I looked at the website and the bike was still like $44.99 or whatever on the website. And the guy's like, no, I want the podcast price.
Podcast price.
Really?
You have to be a podcaster to even get close to that price.
Exactly, right? Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I mean, so it was pretty funny. And that does happen from time to time. But yeah, super fun, super cool. Tomorrow I get to deliver the Zero DSR police model. So I
was checking that out. That's pretty cool.
We're going to have fun with that fucker later.
Yeah.
We're going to get out in front and get all the police to show up.
I was looking at how they they used the integrated siren amplifier system on that.
Yeah.
But they built their own little custom plate and integrated it.
Oh, that's right. You did that for a living.
Yeah. I was looking at all the whaling equipment on it. And
you appreciate their craftsmanship?
No, they use the only quality stuff.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're
Well,
really nice.
number 2 for them, right?
So
that
is
if we built that,
Yeah.
that's pretty much what we would have done to it.
Yeah, and Zero's on point when it comes to their quality, and it shows on that
In
bike.
fact, I don't think we'd have done it that good. That's pretty good.
I've seen some Cleveland police stuff, and yeah, there's usually an extra wire or two. But those are bonus wires. This is for the Metro Parks. So our Metro Parks is getting their second electric motorcycle. So it's a big deal.
Best run institution in the town.
Well, and I do think that, now that Chief Dolan, when she came in as the chief of the Metro Parks, she went to a lot of trouble to get them recognized as not just like, oh, they're parks cops, they're security guards or whatever. She made
Mall
sure.
cops.
Right. Well, she made sure that they are fully like certified OPOTC, and they are acknowledged by every federal agency as.
I think they PT every year.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They do. And their officers are all in great shape. They train the living hell out of them. I got to
They're
say.
cool too. I mean, they're very polite and they talk to you like a human being.
Yeah. So since Chief Dolan went in there, she has done an amazing job. I get pulled over more than I should in the Metro Parks. Well, they have a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit, so they made a choice.
So difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't have those roads in a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit.
Twisties.
I know. Yeah.
The best road in town is 30 miles.
The best road in town, that road should be 50.
I used to say it was like once a year. Didn't they used to do like a rally through the Metro Park?
So that was ages ago, but yeah, they used to do the equivalent of the Pittsburgh Hill Climb, where they would literally say, okay, this is happening here and now, and they would let it rip. And it was sort of a Group B rally car situation, but vintage. Now, I would happily pay $2,000 for a special license plate for the Metro Parks, to just be like, no, you did see the yellow license plate, right? Or the green license plate, because I would make a $2,000 donation to the Metro Parks.
Well, and every year you need to take a driving test where you have to drive through the Metro Parks as fast as you can.
Right. Yeah.
And if you are within a certain time without going off the road.
Without hitting a guardrail.
Then,
Yeah.
okay, you get it for the year.
You get your green plate.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Every Saturday at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
They close off one end of it.
Yes, they do.
A group of you can show up there.
Yep.
They wait for the last car to make it through.
Yep.
Then they open it up and say, "Go at it."
It's like going to Zion and
And as
waiting
soon
for a
as
camper
everybody
to go
takes
through the
off,
trailer.
they open it back up to
Yeah.
the public. But that one group of people
It's
gets
just
to go,
game on.
"Whoa!"
It's the most frustrating thing in the world, because you're like, yeah, I'm going to take a ride today. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to jump on my bike. I'm going to pop in the Metro Parks, and I know that I've got a whole lot of distance with like very few traffic lights, with very little in the way of a good time. And then you get behind the minivan full of, I don't know. It's just
grannies
on Thorazine and weed cocktails. And they're like pulling over to be like, well, I saw a duck cross the road here in 82. We should slow down. And it's just like the deer are out there waving cars to go faster. It's just fucking horrible how slow
Spring,
people
look
go.
at that flower.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you want to do tonight, Gertrude? I don't know. Let's take a spin through the Metro Parks and make out.
We'll get a kitty cone at Dairy Queen.
Yeah, I was like, fucking
Weber's.
best goddamn road in Ohio. Just let us fucking have at it, man. There should just be barriers that they put up, like when there's floods, and they should put the barriers up, and that should be like, thanks for Clevelandmoto for making their giant fucking donation, and we would just have at it. That would just be our road that day. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
I feel like that's something that you should propose.
Well, we do know the police chief. Yeah, that's it. So
maybe she gets a free zero if she does it for you.
Wow, there you go. Now you see, that's literally barking right up her tree. Yeah, I think at one point she was like, we want to have 6 zeros. I was like, you want to have 6? All of Costa Rica has like 40 for the whole country, right?
Phil says we want to drive fast in the Metro Park.
Yeah, that's
right.
exactly it.
That's what we can do.
Your bike must be at least this quiet. Yeah, if you want to drive that fast to the Metro Parks.
This is the time for you to actually go through the Metro Parks on that bike.
Oh,
to try it out.
When I deliver these things, I always take a hot lap, So every time I deliver police bikes to police people, I always make sure to put it on a ludicrous display of speed and stunts in the parking lot. And
in front of them.
Always in front of them. Always. Because I know that they're going to try it, and I like fixing crashed bikes. So it's way more fun to be
trying
like,
to set the bar.
fuck yeah. Dude, wheelie into a stoppie in 3 parking spaces. You know our standard out here in the parking lot. Yeah.
It's like
No, you
giving
can do that.
It's like giving a bottle to a drunk.
And you're dangling it in front of people who have been trained.
The
Who
last
think
time,
they're at the top of their game.
yeah, the last time I did a wheelie into a stoppie in the parking lot up front here, that we didn't do a podcast. The guy crashed the Versys
Right.
because that guy was all like, "Well, I was looking at the Triumph 850, and I was looking at the Tiger, and I was looking at the BMW 1250, and I was looking at the." I said, "But all you've shown me so far is this little tiny budget." And all those other things you're talking about have much larger budgets associated with them. Well, but I want to be able to do the Trans-America Trail and the Cannonball Run in the same day. And it has to be a Winnebago. And it has to go to Alaska on the ice. And it also has to get 136 miles per gallon.
And it has to float.
And it has to get 50,000 miles on the tires and everything else. And I was like,
Sounds like he wants a CT90.
it does sound like he wants a CT90. I should have said, and a real man would do all that on a CT90. So after all that, I went out in the parking lot and I did all my Shriner moves that I do. And I did all my standing on the pegs and all that stuff. And I was like, look, first through third gear, never touch the throttle. Just let the clutch out, let the flywheel do the work. And I do all that shit basically to let him know that my dick is big. My dick is very, very big. And that's all we do it for. But it's mostly to just be like, look, you asked me 200 dumb questions about this bike. I should have done this first. And then you wouldn't have to ask those questions. Well, guess what happens? He lays it down within a mile. But I already proved to him it was unlaydownable.
How did he do that?
Yeah. He said he got scared in the middle of the intersection. So he said he went into the intersection at Rocky River heading north at Lorain. He was making a left because I told him where the Metro Parks was and he screwed it up. So he went and made a left on the intersection to go, to go left onto Lorain from 237. The light was orange. And he got scared, and he says he gunned it or something, and the back end passed the front end. Whatever.
That sounds like a great bike.
Again, he screwed it right into the fucking ground, as they all do.
He should have just hung on to it.
He rode it back, and when you see the handlebars, he's literally got a Bosa Zuku handlebar on one side, and he's got a standard handlebar on the other side.
Oh, he's ready for flat track.
He's ready for flat track.
He dented plastic.
Right.
I don't know how you do
it's
it.
legit.
But
He dented
the
plastic.
plastic.
Yeah,
Get
he
the
dented
hair
plastic.
dryer out. That'll be
Yeah,
fine.
he'll sort it out.
At least it wasn't brittle plastic then.
Right.
It had to be pliable.
It didn't die. I mean, it didn't break. But yeah, long story short, he crashed the shit out of it, and he did ride it back. I'm hating on the guy a little because he crashed the bike on a test ride. Right. Which, if you crash a bike on a test ride, you never should have taken the test ride anyway, and your dumbass should have known that. I had a guy ask me for a test ride today on a Zero, and I said, "Well, when was the last time you rode a motorcycle?" And he's like, "Well, my kids got out of college, and so that means 84." And I was like, "Oh my god." So you're going to take my $22,000 machine out. The last thing you rode was like a 79 CB400 or some shit.
Right.
Oh, man.
It's probably a CM400.
But
Probably a CM400.
But I heard
honestly.
this has ABS, so it's okay.
Well, and honestly, if you're going to take anything out of my shop and ride it like a dipshit, I would want you to ride the SRF or the SRS. Because Bosch has spent millions of dollars keeping you from killing your dumbass. Whereas if you take out the cheap Zero, like the FX or the FXS, you know you're going to die. Well, no, I know you're going to die. Steve knows you're going to die.
Would it make any sense to put him on an SSR before they put him on an SRF?
It would make...
No, because they would go over. They would flip the thing over backwards on top of themselves.
It's absolutely
I
true
guarantee you.
that it's absolutely true that I think the least dangerous bike is the SRF because no matter how hard you grip it and rip it, that computer is not going to give you wheel spin.
Can you put it into like 15 mile an hour demo
Yeah,
mode?
I can. Yeah, I can. I can take my custom mode and I'm just like, okay, what setting do you want? Nerf. Yeah, and I can just send them out and fucking nerf. Yeah, and that's it. And that's, that's about what you can expect. I mean, that's the game. Yeah, I don't know beyond that. Any other big motorcycle news anybody wants to talk about before I get into the...
Well, I don't know. Did you send the article or read the article I sent over?
Go ahead, fire away.
So I forget the company name, but they invented a battery technology that's 10 times the volume for the same weight. But more importantly, the battery can actually be a structural part of the element.
I thought when I started reading that article, I was like, oh my God, it's the elusive graphene.
Right.
Like it's the story about the elusive substance that everyone talks about. Like when somebody figures out graphene,
right,
we're all going to be able to go to go to Mars for the weekend.
You mean you can't make graphene just by scribbling on a piece of paper and taking a piece of Scotch tape and going...
And lifting it off. That's right. Yeah.
I thought that was
I've
graphene.
seen the videos.
Yeah. Graphenes are like perfect little hexagonal things
Right.
in a one molecule thick little layer.
Yeah.
And if you could layer them up and harness them and turn them into a battery, they would be the best battery in the world.
Right.
But it hasn't worked.
Exactly. Theoretically.
So I did take the time to actually read the article. So
Yeah, me too.
So it says that it's 20% capable of what the lithium ion are capable now,
Right.
but the weight reduction does help you because you're not
Carrying a battery.
right.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it might be part of the structure of the car, which
Well, for a car or a plane or a boat, to me, that is a practical application for that. But for a motorcycle, it's not practical because there's not enough surface area to be able. Okay, so you look at the density of a battery. So the Zeros have about 24 by what is that? About 10 inches.
Yeah.
By 8 inches or something. So you have that block right there, and that gives you 7.2 kilowatts or kilowatt hours or whatever it is. If you look at that and you take that down, you increase that volume, which is about 2 cubic feet, and you divide that by 5 or divide that by 0.2.
Right, 0.2. Yeah.
So you're taking 2 cubic feet, you're making it 10 cubic feet. So on a motorcycle, it's impractical to have that much. You're not going to have that much surface area for a motorcycle unless, maybe
You build it into your clothes.
yeah, or your fairing. I mean, it would have to be a huge, huge motorcycle. But for a car, for the doors, like if your doors were that, your roof is that, your floor pan is made out of that, then it makes a lot of sense to do that. Or a plane or boat or a.
well for stuff that that you're not going to be at risk of crashing or having an issue with the structure being a problem, because on a plane, if you crash, you're pretty much fucked anyway.
Right.
But if you're in a car or on a motorcycle, you might lean it over, that might scrape it or do something.
Can you layer it?
I think you can. The only thing that's kind of deceiving is that the article name says that it's 10 times better
Yeah.
from the previous version of the technology.
Right.
Which they don't
That was
reference.
the key thing, because I was like, this is weird.
So-
This should be like a game changer, but it was like, kind of went through the whole thing, and it says from the previous version, but it's still 20% of the existing one, but with the weight reduction, which is a really good thing. So it's going to.
And didn't it say there was an article? There was a paragraph toward the bottom that said it's going to revolutionize electric bicycles.
Well, because anything.
Who reads about bicycles?
See, I told you.
I know.
Because anything is now a battery.
Right.
Yeah.
My brake levers are now batteries.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
My seat is now a battery.
I have two fundamental issues with that. One, it goes against what we were just talking about, the hot swappable batteries.
Right.
You can't do that anymore.
Nope.
Two, batteries are wear items.
When your battery's dead, is it still a frame?
Right. Exactly. Well, I guess I need an entirely new motorcycle.
Right, exactly. And honestly, I do think that that's rocking horse shit. I mean, I think it's unicorn poo. I think it's great to talk about in theory, as all things are great to talk about in theory. I don't think there's a shitting chance in hell. And I love when somebody says, this is vaporware, but then we're going to throw out a corresponding number that makes it seem tangible, like you thought about it. Well, it's 100%, invisible moose shit. But we did test it, and it's 20% as the weight. It's 20% the weight of actual visible moose shit. So they throw that 20% number in there.
You're like, ooh.
To be like, oh, wow, there's been testing.
Well, but couldn't you add 20% to a normal motorcycle, battery motorcycle?
Yeah.
So you still have the battery,
Right.
but you do use that technology and
Right.
you give it 20% more capacity.
Well, again,
I mean, it
Well, no,
also
it-
sounds like something you would only use on a satellite that
But-
goes out in outer space or something.
It wouldn't be that way though, because volumetrically it wouldn't give you 20% more. It would give you
Right.
20% of the weight that was initially part of the weight.
but 20,
so it would
like if your invisible fantasy stripper loses 20% of her weight,
I wouldn't want that
she's
to
still
happen.
your invisible fantasy stripper. She's just 20% more slender.
No, but you know where they're going to lose it.
I know where they're going to lose it. Yeah.
And I'm not she won't be
And I'll
my
tell you
fantasy
what.
stripper anymore.
When your invisible fantasy stripper loses 20 pounds or 20% of her invisible fantasy boobies, there goes all the fun.
There's all the chocolate out of the thunder.
Now she's just your invisible fantasy accountant.
You know what I think this technology could be good for is cell phones or other things that you replace every couple years anyways.
Right.
You care
Absolutely.
about the structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, couldn't you just have the case be the battery and
Yes.
then you pop the phone out?
Yep.
And then,
Right. And they
Something
replace
like
the
that,
case.
yeah.
But look at your battery and your cell phone. Well, I guess you can see it now, but
Yeah.
it's this big.
It's the size of a
So-
match. Yeah.
Not gonna be.
Multiply that by 5.
Right.
So then you'll
Yeah.
be back to bag phones. But, my cell phone
good
is
news
awesome
is-
because the case is the battery.
When we go fishing, our sinkers will now all be batteries.
Yeah.
Think of all the things we can make into batteries.
You just
now.
electrocute
Let's not
the
work
fish.
it the other way. Let's not work at the front way. Let's work at the back way. Let's take things now. We could make batteries that were 20% as efficient as current batteries, but they'd be made out of substance that's purely battery. That's what I'm thinking.
Assault and battery.
Yeah, that's what but again, I read the website. It was cool. Triumph apparently has gotten in the game, and Triumph has now officially announced that they have got artwork that suggests that they might be building an electric motorcycle.
Well, they got an artist to draw a picture of an electric motorcycle.
No, they took an electric motorcycle picture that already existed, and they put a Triumph logo on it.
Well, I guess
really tiny
they're
Triumph
working
logo.
with Williams, the F1 team. Williams has a technology engineering company built into it, but they're also a couple years ago, Formula One cars had they were KERS systems, kinetic energy recovery systems,
Right.
that utilized batteries, obviously, to pick up any wasted energy when you're braking and use it for accelerating later on. So I guess all Formula E batteries, that electric race class, they are made by Williams, and I guess Triumph is working with Williams to build an electric motorcycle.
There you go.
Williams actually lists the Triumph project on their website.
On their website.
So it's
Yeah.
legit.
It's legit,
there.
yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why hybrids aren't using electrolytic panels on the motor. It'll be like all the wasted heat.
Yeah.
So do you have electrolytic tape that you
Right.
wrap around your whole exhaust pipe so that the heat from the motor is actually
Oh,
charging
and
your battery?
electrolytic tape is good for about 1 milliwatt for every 40 degree variance. So I
Okay, you make tasty drinks.
One thing that's cool about Williams is that when they were doing that whole kinetic energy recovery system, they actually tested out building
I
flywheels
saw that.
into Formula One cars so that it actually spins up a big heavy flywheel and it uses that energy later. And
the idea of it's a Formula One car, and he just said big and heavy.
Yep.
It's the dumbest idea ever.
I don't think they ever used it in a Formula One car, but I think London buses for a while
They
were
did.
using
Yeah.
a system like that. Yeah.
I thought they
It's
used air
hilarious.
tanks. They had an air compressor, so when they would stop, it would compress the
Yep.
tanks, and when they take off, it would
Release it.
the double deckers.
Yeah. That's a really super old technology.
That was my dream for a food truck.
Yeah.
I was going to get a double decker bus.
Yeah.
And actually, Ryan knew somebody who had started done
The one that's over on Carnegie, I owned it for a week. So there's one that's parked on Carnegie that I owned for 1 week. The guy who owned it has
Double
a
decker.
double-decker bike, a proper old British 1962 double-decker bus that's sitting over in a warehouse parking lot behind Carnegie. DNS Vending and Supply Company, the old man who runs DNS Vending and Supply, I was maintaining his whole collection of motorcycles. He's got every Indy 500 pace car, one each of every Indy 500 pace car from 1953 to 1969.
Jeez.
Wow.
In his warehouse, where he has thousands of vending machines that were lowest bidder, and he just has them stacked to the ceiling. Why he's not recycling them or decycling them, I don't know. But anyway, he also had about 25 motorcycles in his collection that I was taking care of. He couldn't pay me. And so at some point in his after I did a bunch of work for him, I say he could have fucking paid me. He decided not to pay me. He trumped me, right? And so he decided not to
didn't
pay
want
me.
to pay you in dollars.
Right. Yeah. So he decided he wasn't going to pay me. And so he says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you that double-decker bus. And I was like, okay. But I mean, think about it. It's landlocked because it's over 13 feet tall.
Yeah, right.
And the bridges around it are not 13 feet tall. So I was like, we got to railhead this thing in. We got to load it in and load it out on rail cars, a lowboy. And so he said, yeah, I never thought about that. And I was like, it's here. You didn't drop it with a Sikorsky. You must have brought it in somehow, and I don't think it was lying on its side.
Sky crane.
Right. But I went around, I drove around the neighborhood, and there were bridges that were literally
Wow.
12'9".
13.6. The thing's 14.1 or something, right? Yeah, it's not even like let the air out of the tires, you know. No, it's just you're fucked.
Back
right?
up, you're not going.
Right, back out, you're not going anywhere. Your double-decker bus is now a single-decker bus with a trailer.
It's a deck and a half.
Yeah, it's a deck and a half. So anyway, he gives me this thing, and I'm like, great. We'll play this game as long as you have a title. Oh, I got a title.
No.
I didn't think he had a title. The title never materialized. And so I went over and took a couple of bikes. The one time I went to work on his bikes, when I left, I had a couple of his bikes with me.
I'm going to take these to work on.
And then he paid me. Yeah. So once I had a couple of his bikes, then he decided he'd pay his bill.
For anybody that's bored listening to the podcast and they need something else to do,
Yeah.
there's a YouTube channel called Can Opener Bridge in Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen
I like
that?
the way they dug out under the bridge to make it taller.
Yeah.
Nope, didn't help.
Didn't work.
No,
So
didn't work.
like it's averaged at like 63 vehicles slam into this bridge a year.
Yeah, it's-
and
it's-
just rips the top of it
It's
off.
got
Beautiful
more kills
RVs.
than the Luftwaffe.
RVs just bam, bam. There goes your 2 air conditioners.
Yeah.
And you see a U-Haul truck coming at it, and you know it's got no hope in hell.
Yeah.
Because the guy driving the U-Haul truck,
No clue.
20 minutes ago, he forgot it was a U-Haul truck. He thinks it's his Prius again. Yeah. He has no idea it's a U-Haul truck.
I was going to sell double-decker sandwiches.
Out of a double-decker bus.
Double-decker.
Fuck yeah.
It would be the double-decker.
Right.
I think
and then we
so.
poop in your
Triple-decker
upstairs toilet.
sandwiches.
3
out of
slices of bread, and that would just go right out on the street.
Yep.
And it would be fine because it's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland. You know it. Yeah.
So what stopped you, John?
Sense.
And we were going to call it the upper decker and just shit upstairs.
Intelligence, seeing my life constantly trying to keep this fucking stupid bus running.
Everybody-
on top
Yeah.
of schlepping sandwiches to people, and that was going to be my life. Fuck that.
Every time I've talked to anybody who's been like, I got the greatest idea ever. We're going to take an Airstream trailer and we're going to make it into a food truck. They have all failed miserably.
The only
wait.
successful one was the Airstream trailer turned into a bowling alley.
Which, again, the best part about that was it never went anywhere ever again.
Stationary.
Yeah.
It was inside of the Silverton Casino in Vegas.
Let's go back to John.
Yes.
So schlepping sandwiches is a totally bad idea, but
Right.
schlepping shit all day is totally acceptable.
Totally acceptable.
Shit schlepper.
Do you know what?
Okay.
Nobody ever
Shit
calls
schlepper.
him and says, this shit was bad, I want another one.
Let me just say that the influence that comes to our plant does rare. The only time I've seen a turd is when the septic guys dump right into the thing right there.
Okay.
But by the time it gets to us, everything is just this fluid. There's nothing.
So
solid.
gelatinous shit is much better than fucking hard
Well,
shit.
you gotta
Gelatinous
understand,
shit.
it's not just coming from people's toilets. It's coming from their washing machines, their showers, and all this stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
it's not just poo
No.
coming through the plant.
So it's clean poo.
It's shampoo.
There's a lot of. I'm not gonna lie. There's corn. There's bacon grease. There's all kinds of shit.
Condoms
slinging
just wrapped around.
It's been a good week for condoms. I can tell you
Slinging
that.
sandwiches.
really?
Yeah,
You got to deal with a lot of
I don't know what's
assholes.
been going on, but there was a
COVID.
there was a big pink one in the fucking
Big enough to comment
the
on.
meatball sized grease balls that you scoop out.
Wow.
Extra magnum.
There was a nice-
pink
You don't want to know what we call them.
What?
Now we can't comment.
Here it comes. Yeah?
You have the room.
Gay juice boxes.
That's right. We didn't want to know.
By taping a straw
I don't
to
care.
them.
That's fucking funny.
All right.
Okay, do you guys want to hear about my weirdest customer of the week?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. The weirdest customer of the week, our door is locked and it's by appointment only. And we're wonderful. I mean, we are giving people as many appointments as they can handle.
And test rides.
Fuck you. My God, man. So
Too soon.
Too soon, yeah. So one of the things, though, that happens is people get very confused about the rules. Our website, if you go to clevelandmoto.com, as soon as the website comes up, there's a banner right at the top that says we are by appointment only. Call the shop to make an appointment. No problem.
Figure it out.
Figure it out, right? So we get a lot of people that walk up, and the sign's 8.5 by 11. It's at eye height for most people,
Yeah,
and
miss it.
they can't read it, and they just bang on the door. Whatever, it's fine. So we've learned to accept that, but it's worth it to just not have people wandering in and wasting our fucking time, which is 20 years of experience, people walking in and wasting our fucking time. Now, I go outside, and I'm getting a bike ready for a customer. We get about 30 bikes outside. I'm busier than hell. And I see these two older people, and he's got like a big long gray beard and, stuff. And he says, I noticed you don't have a sign on the door that says no weapons.
Wow.
I start conversations that way all the time.
Yeah.
And I went,
It also says no sign. Don't have a sign for no submarines.
fresh out of elephant whistles, man. Fresh out of elephant whistles. But the dude said, he goes, I noticed you don't have a sign on the door that says no weapons. And I went, and then my brain went click, and I looked over, and his wife is open carrying $311 worth of Ruger semi-automatic. He's open carrying something else and a tactical flashlight on his other side. He's 70-ish. She's Crypt Keeper light. Like she's had a few harder miles than he did, or maybe it was the tanning that was so popular in the 70s.
Ridden hard, put away wet.
She's the consistency of brick. Old brick. Not new brick. Old brick. But anyway, I digress.
Cracking, crumbling.
So I look over and I see that they're both healed, right? And I'm like, okay. So I said, the greatest thing about concealed carry is concealed. And I said, I relish in your right to celebrate your Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. But let's remember that I said, do you have a concealed carry permit? And they were like, whoa, of course. And that's just, oh yeah. Do you have a concealed carry permit? Was like, they were like, I thought a party favor was going to come on. I thought like the thing was like, that's the magic word. You know, they were just, their eyes lit up. They were so happy. And they were like, well, yeah. And I said, well, then, if you've been to concealed carry class, the first word is concealed.
Right.
And they went, well, yeah, but I said, well, okay, so you understand in the state of Ohio, open carry is totally legal, and that's great. I have no problem with it. But concealed carry, we've got training for and all kinds of stuff. And the idea is a person that's carrying concealed is a little different than the guy who's participating in his, I don't know, his frontier reenactment with his brown Bess, that's different,
yeah.
Right? That's fine. If you want to go to cowboy days and you've got your yellow boy carbine and, your giant fucking ridiculous brass, pistol.
You want to go walk in the Capitol building.
Your Colt Old Navy, your Navy arms. Yeah, exactly.
What are the things you said? Couchos, or you get rocking those things?
Conchos all over your ass. Yeah. You got conchos all over your fucking chaps. But anyway, these two are okay. So they're like Grandpa Tactical. So I'm like, okay, great. So I think we're going to call those Jerry Tacticals from now on. Instead of Jerry Tactical. Yeah, it's Jerry
It's
Tactical.
like Bert in, what's that movie with the Tremors?
Tremors, yeah. Well, except way older. So I'm like, okay. I was like, guys, I don't
Bert
give
Gummer. Bert Gummer.
my God. I don't give a fuck, honestly. The fact that you want to talk about it is just so sad, right? So I was like, but you can come into my shop. I don't care, right? And so we come in, and this guy brought up the fact that he was an Army veteran. Mm-hmm. He had a green leftover Vietnam era Army shirt, not a jacket, an Army shirt. And then he had the 1980s green earplug case that we all know sucked if you're in the military. And he had taken apart the brass off of his dress greens that had the cavalry sabers. And he physically deconstructed his brass from his dress greens and put his cavalry sabers, which are high polished brass, onto his plastic earplug case. Extra 10 points for flair, right? Excellent. So here they come in, gun and gun light. And they're walking around, and we proceed to, and James and Renee are just like, they're having the effect. Hey, oh my God, you see that? Those guys have guns. I was like, don't do that. That's what they want. Ignore them. Make sure the guns are invisible to you. But he's got to say gun every 15 seconds. Is there a place on this vehicle where I can secure my gun?
Yes, up your ass.
And I was like, well, you're not securing it now. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, you're what we call a gun store. And he's like, what? And I said, well, I never have to wonder if there's a gun in the room. I don't need to bring mine because I can take yours and hers. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, I'd like to see you try. I said, no, you're not going to see me try. That's the magic of it, is I'm going to wait until you're turned the other way and just fuck you in the back of the head. And you're just going to, and you'll fall down, and I got all your guns. But honestly, I've got better guns than that in my office, so
Yeah,
you can keep those. You know, thanks, my first Ruger.
What are they? What is the reaction that they want?
Well, they want the reaction is, and you know, we've all watched the videos of the people that go into stores with masks off, and they want to have a reaction.
Yeah.
These people want to go into stores and have people say, you know, you can't come in here with those guns on, mister.
There's a whole bunch of channels of, I think they're called auditors, like First Amendment auditors and Second Amendment auditors. And these guys, there's a whole channel of these dudes going up to cops.
Yeah.
Doing their job, and some of these cops are the most patient human beings I've ever seen in my life, and they're like, I can do whatever I want, and then they wait to the point that like the store owner comes out and says they're trespassing, go ahead and arrest them, and then they flip the fuck out,
flip out,
turn into a little bitch, start crying, and the whole night.
I told the guy, I was like, if you bothered me, I would ask you to leave. You'd have to leave, and you'd have to take you and your wife and your guns with you, but it wouldn't be because of the guns.
Right. I mean, you're walking into a guy who has probably more guns than he's seen.
Well, but more importantly, you're walking into a guy who will never let you know whether or not he has a gun.
Right.
The secret behind my success is the uncertainty. Mm-hmm. I believe that guns should be like sex. It should be a surprise. You should never know when it's coming. It should always be like, wow, that happened. I'm so happy. Right? Or, wow, that happened. I'm so offended.
Yeah. Wait, I'm going to use the restroom. Meanwhile, you come out with an AK-47.
Exactly. Right. I've chased more people out of my stores with a machete than a gun. Do you know why? People are terrified of a machete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather get shot than get chopped up.
Me too. I'll take a 9mm. But don't you dare hit me with that machete that costs $3.99 at Walmart. Yeah. Yeah, you know that's going to leave a fucking ugly ass cut, right? So anyway, they were there. And so the funny thing was, after all this shit, and Renee and James were just like, I sold him the bike. And the guy was so, yeah. And what was funny was the guy was like, I was like, well, you put a $500 deposit down today and you pay the rest when you pick it up. Bring us a check or whatever. And he's like, well, no, I'll do you one better than that. I've got cash. And I was like, yay. Yeah. You know? Wow, that never happens. So cool. Wow, today there's these things called, point of sale systems and the debit cards and us taking in money isn't like, oh, there's $5,000 nobody's ever going to know about. There's a title on this vehicle.
Right.
He didn't pay you in silver or gold.
I swear to God, I told him in the thing, I was like, dude, I will take Dogecoin. Like, it's to the moon. I don't care. Like, I will take anything. If you want, give me. If you want to give me crypto, if you want to give me Krugerrands, you want to give me fucking doubloons.
GameStop
but
stock.
Phil, have you heard of Liberty Safes?
Nick gave me a beaver pelt. He legit straight up paid with a beaver pelt.
I remember that.
So if I will take a beaver pelt from Nick, look, some places have a dollar bill above their cash register. I got a beaver pelt.
Yep.
Right. Take that, Canadians. Yeah.
But was it your first beaver pelt?
It was my first beaver pelt. I've been saying the beaver pelt line for 20 fucking years. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll take cash, check, credit cards, beaver pelts, whatever. Nick takes me up on it day one.
I tanned it myself.
Legit home tanning job. Yeah.
Well, because I bought it on eBay and I was like, oh shit, I can't give this to Phil. It's gonna rot.
Was it in a bag?
No, it was just.
It was still bloody, attached to the beaver.
It still had beaver.
It was a dead beaver.
It was just
They salted it.
Well, I salted it.
Oh.
So what did you get? A dead beaver, or what did they send you?
It was a beaver pelt. It was a fresh beaver pelt.
Wow. Oh,
so.
But again, it went through the mail.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You can send anything in the mail.
Apparently.
Yeah, except for a full AK-47, I found out. But anyway, the
alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol.
You have to send the receiver separately.
I did. I carried the receiver on my luggage on the plane.
One of my long time ago, one of the bands that I was getting kind of somewhere with, we were trying to get on radio stations.
Yeah.
I had no idea about that rule. So I put our whole, like, our CD and everything into, like, a pizza box and surrounded it with, like, 12 mini bottles of alcohol around addressed to the DJs at a
payola, baby.
So the one dude at 107, when they used to have, like, the band night or whatever, and then he called, he's like, I'm going to have you guys on.
You mean
because-
107.9, the last station on the radio dial? WENZ.
back when they were, yeah, right. But he was like, he goes, I'm going to have you on because you impressed me because you sent me a felony, which was great.
It's
Did
a
you
felony?
get to the schneef?
You can't, federal offense.
It's payola.
And and you're not allowed to send booze
Right.
in the mail,
In the
which
mails.
is federal.
Although I do order a lot
Even
of
if
booze
it's
through the mail.
if it's not interstate.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know all the
I
rules.
thought going across state line is illegal. I
But
thought,
only if the booze is under 18.
yeah,
No, there's a federal law. You cannot
Yeah.
mail alcohol.
you can.
I think
So if
You have to
place where
label
you
it
can order
like
online.
yeast samples, live yeast samples.
Well, how did I get bottles of alcohol from like California?
Don't feel bad. I've got a lot.
you
Yeah.
might have to have a liquor license to send it, and like you have to register and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I bought it from
Still,
a
the
store.
U.S. mail
So.
does not
You
handle
can't
any
send it.
alcohol.
Oh, so it's
But a liquor
UPS or
store can
something.
send it to you.
It's UPS or FedEx.
It's just like I can't mail him a gun, but I can have my FFL gun dealer mail his gun dealer a gun. It's weird. Yet I can go on an airplane and be like, would you please check my arsenal of weapons because I'm going to some shoot in a different state?
Right.
And they'll just like, oh, sure, thanks. And I'm like, this is hilarious. I just put like 6 guns into an airplane because I'm going to go on a shoot. And they just were like, yeah, thanks.
You can't shoot people on the plane. They're cool with that.
So are they checking like packages for alcohol? Or are they x-raying or what?
I don't know.
I don't know because I know a friend, this guy that I'm really good friends with, that gets weed a lot in the mail, and it's never been a problem. So.
Yeah.
Excuse me, exactly what is his name
Like
and
I
address?
said, just label it yeast samples or
Speak directly
vinegar. They don't know what
into the
liquid
federal
in it is.
Yeah.
You can
communications
ship
system.
liquids,
Yeah.
just
Right,
not
just some
alcohol.
guy.
Well, it's probably if the bottle breaks and there's like, oh, this is not even supposed to be here, and then
Right.
you're fucked.
Right.
But if it,
Yeah.
You know, the guys who do beer competitions, we know all the tricks. It's like
Right.
each bottle goes in a Ziploc,
Okay.
and then it all goes in a packaging that holds it, and then you put a trash bag around the outside
Okay.
of everything. If there's a spill, it's
Yeah.
contained.
Yeah.
It sounds like exactly what you do when you mail somebody a puppy. Oh, that's not how you do it?
No, the oxygen tank. But you have to add an oxygen tank to the puppy.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Overnight, you'll be fine.
If you put them in the freezer,
Pay the extra
if you
$20
put them in
bucks.
the freezer first, they'll
Knocks them
last.
out a little bit.
The metabolism slows
how to make
down enough
chloroform?
to.
I know guys who were banned from shipping via FedEx for having bottles of alcohol break
Yeah.
and soaking the box, and
Right.
then they know.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, you
And yet-
cannot ship or receive FedEx. That would be bad.
And yet, I will
weed is
remind
easier.
you that the Sportsman's Guide will ship me 3,000 rounds of AK-47 ammunition, and they will leave it on my front porch.
And it's all loose. And it's
loose
rattling
in a
around
tin
in the
can.
box like.
Everybody's like,
oh,
I'm
yeah.
everybody's like, oh my
you get
god.
ammo. It's like, what? You look at it and it's like. It's
Everybody's
all
like, oh my god, you got to protect the primer, and I'm like, no, there's 1,000 bullets that are very pointy inside this tin can, and they've been there for 30 years, packaged lovingly by Russians or Chinese.
They just throw them in.
Shoveled in
Probably
there.
shovels.
Shoveled
yeah.
in, exactly. Haven't lost. Do you know what's the weird thing is? So up until a little while ago, I was deathly frightened of like when I'm welding. I was deathly frightened of like having an open flame near an acetylene tank. Not anymore.
No.
No, I'm cured. I'm totally cured because apparently you can burn a barn down
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
with a
Oh shit, you're
with a bottle, with not even a little tiny bottle, but a bottle, like a proper bottle of acetylene
Yeah.
and a proper bottle of oxygen can be in a fire, a fully involved barn fire. And
just
you know what
hiss.
happens?
It hisses.
It just makes the fire better.
Yeah.
But at no point ever does it blow up and kill 47 people with shrapnel the size of your fist.
Like you would think it should.
Like you would think it
Yeah,
should.
you
You
know-
throw one paint can, one spray paint can into the fire, 13 people die.
Yeah, but there's okay. When I was a kid, my friend's dad was a welder.
Yeah.
And so his thing was that he would bring a garbage bag full of acetylene
Acetylene,
down,
yes.
and you'd spray ether on it and light the ether. And so we were playing stickball in this like the end of the road, right? So we brought it in the end of the road, and
Were you chasing a hoop around too?
no, seriously, you know,
We were playing
wiffle
stickball.
ball, stickball,
Okay,
whatever,
all
all
right.
right, whatever. And so
Did you ever one of those bicycles?
I had on my Sunday pantalones.
And he had the bike with the one
high
big
wheel.
front tire.
I was riding my penny
high wheel.
farthing.
Okay, wiffle ball. Fucking wiffle ball. But anyways.
Did you get that from the F&W Woolworths?
It was in a cult.
Steve just spit.
That's a great story so far.
I know, I love it.
Anyways, he brought this bag of acetylene out, sprayed ether on it,
Right.
and lit it in the middle of a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and it went boom.
And 7 houses lost their windows.
I know.
mean, like all the windows
I
in
know.
the whole fucking place.
Yeah.
So
And
how
you
does
guys
it
lost your
now
stick
blow
ball.
up?
Ask Steve. He tried to kill us.
I mean, honestly,
settling
that could have
can-
been bad. That
We
could've
were
been
all
really
there.
bad.
And the part of the fire I took 7 gallons of gas to build. And the part of the fire Nick took 6 hours to build. Right? It was
One
all-
cup of gasoline at a time.
one cup, like a Dixie cup of gas at a time. He'd walk 47 feet, throw it on, and it'd go, and then it'd be a little bit bigger. Well, all of a sudden, Nick started winning.
Oh, and it was melting. The roof,
Easy, Sleepy.
the roof was dripping off.
And there was a 45-degree angle jet of yellow flame, and the sound like a Hawker Harrier. It was great. It was like close in night at the airport.
Oh no, there was a gas line in there.
And we swear to God, we're yelling, dude, I think the old man ran a gas line out to the barn. I did that. My dad did that. Steve goes and looks, meter is dead as a doornail, nothing spinning. I was like, well, maybe he was super sneaky and took it off before the meter.
Or the neighbor.
Nope. And we're like, and everybody's starting to gradually walk over to that trailer.
Yeah.
Like,
I was hiding behind the tractor.
and it was like a little COVID party behind the trailer because at any moment, any of us thought it was like, I'll bet you that's a propane tank. And then somebody else goes, I'll bet you it's an air compressor. Nobody thought acetylene tank.
Yeah, right.
And oxygen was laying right
Well, I
next
don't know.
to it.
What could make an acetylene fire bigger? I don't know. An oxidizer? Why not just have a shit ton of hydrogen go off too? Do you got any Anfo fertilizer? That's ammonium nitrate and fuel oil for anybody who wants to blow up your neighborhood.
Which very well might have been in that barn.
They're
We don't know.
producing that at the plant, and we've been burying it under the city of Oberlin. No,
Why is there a little tiny piece of paper that says "Do not light fuse"? I totally got to light that.
So who called the fire department?
Exactly. Right.
The valves that are normally like this,
Yeah.
were like kind of like
Honestly,
laid
Steve,
over and melted.
Honestly, I don't know how the cylinders weren't melted. I don't know how the stuff that pulled out of there were like anything that was hardened steel, right? Anything that was actual mild steel and hardened steel, gears and shit were still there.
It's now 4 billion Rockwell.
Right.
Because it's flame
I found an
He
engine.
kept the air.
No, you found a puddle that used to be an
That
engine.
used to be. It had a valve spring and a valve that was sticking out of it.
But any
it
of
was
the
a
parts
puddle
that
of
were
aluminum.
cast were fucked.
Yeah.
He kept the tank from the World War II bomber.
And that didn't melt.
I'm like, well, now
That did not melt.
It's been annealed. And
If you put 80 psi in that tank that used to hold 20,000 psi because it's been so hardened, it will be a grenade.
Yeah.
It will have no like.
it's tempered.
It's tempered. Yeah, it's now the hardest air tank ever in the
That's
history of ever.
now more
Shattered.
dangerous than it was
It
when
is.
it was in the fire.
I want to use that as a compressor. Probably not a good idea. But it is very funny that, like, when you think about what all came out of that fire, that I'm happy that the acetylene tank ran out just before the fire department got there.
Look, it's not
Because they would have smoked your ass if they'd have gone in there and been like, well, hold on a second. There's a live acetylene tank in there with fire coming out of it.
I did climb inside there. I mean, it was all collapsed and everything,
Yeah.
but I tried to go in and see.
We
I mean,
tried
I-
to pull everything out of there, but it was like that one corner, that one small corner was like a 5x5 corner.
Oh, there was just this
was
red
crushed.
tape around it that said flammable.
It was crushed. With
no,
the
it
whole
was
barn.
the whole barn like imploded on that one little corner.
This is before you set it on fire.
Yeah, and we were pulling it apart. We had straps. No,
Well, that makes
we
sense.
John and
Tried
I
our
were
best
pulling.
to- I mean, we tore half that barn down
Yeah.
before you guys got there.
I'd say that the results of that fire is your resume. So if we ever need a barn cleaned out, you're safe. Yeah. Because Merritt was like, who cleaned out the barn? And I said, I don't think anyone did. I'm pretty sure I walked up to it.
We pulled a mower out of it. We pulled some shit out of
We
it.
pulled a bunch of stuff out.
I love this. I want to let you know, these guys were like, mower, that's pretty cool. We should grab that. Get this tank of acetylene out of the way. Woo!
The tank of acetylene was in no way visible from any angle.
It clearly wasn't until there was fire coming out of it. And then we
So
all
got
knew.
rid of all the barn that had fallen on it.
Yeah.
Now it's clearly visible.
Well, what I thought it was funny is how much trouble we had making that barn burn. And then the acetylene kicked in and it was just like, party on, Wayne. Because there was no question that barn was burning down at that moment.
But you wonder, though, if you were going in there with like a skid and you were just like digging away and trying to pull stuff out of there, you could have easily knocked the head off the
Well, those
acetylene tank,
bottles
too.
have shot through concrete walls.
Thank fucking God
Like,
they
they
didn't
will-
shoot through that $38 trailer we were standing behind.
The pressure relief valve worked.
It did. It did. It works remarkably well. And I mean, the fact that, you know,
I wonder
that,
if there's still some acetylene left in it.
well, that acetylene tank is from the Mesozoic era. I mean, that's from like before the days of safety.
They don't build them like that anymore.
No, they don't. The valve on top was
was-
actually a water valve or something. Yeah, it was like just a
So,
big gate
But
valve.
the welds on it are the
No, it
welds.
was a cork.
a
You
cork.
pounded it in.
How much acetylene you need there, mister? Oh, just give me a couple of cubits worth, you know? We'll give you 14 chickens worth of acetylene.
The
Whatever.
welds on it are beautiful though. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, on that tank.
Yeah,
On the tank, yeah. They're artistic, yeah. So it's clearly, I mean, obviously, all the safety things in the world worked, and now I am so impressed because I have accidentally had a building sort of flood because I knocked one of those sprinkler heads off by accident with my head, and like I was just routing around putting a projector up in a ceiling. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker, I'm just wiggling around. And I rolled back and my head hit, and it's just a little glass ampule.
Yep, that's
Vitrolic.
it.
Yeah, that's all it is. And I broke the glass ampule, and the water that comes out of one of those things is like Satan's sploosh.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst thing in the world. It's awful.
Way more water than you can imagine.
Oh my God. No, it's an entire building full of water, I found out. Because it
Plus
doesn't
it's
shut
been
off.
sitting in the pipe for how long, and it's got to smell
Well,
like...
it's been
ugh.
sitting in the pipe since they built the building, apparently. Yeah. And it came out, and I smelled like a tauntaun's rectum. There was no getting around it. It was just garbage. And everything was stained.
Best part of a tauntaun.
The best part of it, the taint.
The funny thing is, like they still use water in like office parks and stuff where there's like 1,000 computers in the room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you really saving?
Right.
Like you got to come up with a better way. 'cause,
Yeah,
like,
use halon so it kills
I
everybody.
was going to say, don't ever be anywhere near halon. Yeah, I was in tanks, so in our tanks we had halon systems, and so inside the tank, inside most Army fighting vehicles and aircraft these days, they have halon. Well, halon has optical sensors, so there's these little brick with two circles on it, and those are little eyeballs, and they look in, and they're looking for the source of flame, and you will never need to have anybody in the world ever tell you not to smoke in a military vehicle, other than the idea that if you smoke in here, if you light a cigarette, the halon is going to pop. It's going to reach into your lungs, remove all the air. Your body will actually invert. And then you'll die. And I mean, and we all were.
Is there a training video for that?
Well, there is.
so what is the point if it's going to kill the occupants? The military
Save
just
the
wants to
tank.
save the tank.
Save the tank, dude. You were clearly never in the military.
No,
You're
I
clearly.
wasn't.
Look, the whole idea in the military is that your gear,
Yeah.
just your personal gear, is like 11 grand. But it can be reappropriated to another soldier.
Gotcha.
Right.
You're expendable.
Yeah. How much is a private worth?
Yeah. The meat inside a Bradley is worth nothing compared to the Bradley.
That's true.
Right, exactly. We haven't even talked about expensive equipment yet. I mean, we're still talking about bang bangs and track. I mean, that's all cheap.
Yeah.
We're not talking about shit that flies.
True.
Oh, they'll scrape pilot A out, and pilot B will get in while it's still crunchy and wet. Yeah. Yeah, when you get to aviation, shit gets real weird. Tanks, they just hose out. Yeah.
With the halon system, I looked at a gray market BMW.
Yeah.
When they came in a long time ago, they had a halon system under the seat, the driver's seat.
No.
Yeah. And the headlights steered. I mean, the headlights moved. I mean, this was back in the 80s.
Yeah,
I think.
Tucker headlights.
Yeah, and
Citroen headlights.
But it was very cool. But they had a halon system under the seat, and they
Again, save the car.
and the audio stem came up, and it had It was on like one of those rods that can bend.
Yeah,
Like
wobbly rod,
flexible,
right.
yeah.
And it came up to hold
And
your Pioneer one car CD player.
Yeah, it was bizarre because you couldn't get them anyplace.
Yeah.
But when you saw one, you were like, man, that is the coolest car I've ever seen in my life.
There's a little button on the dashboard with snowflake, and you press the snowflake, and one line of cocaine comes out. A little cup holder that just has a mirror and one line of cocaine. Yeah. You're like, the 80s were great. You're like, I think this has the winter package. It does. Yeah. The Edgar winter package. Yeah. Just Frankenstein starts coming on real light, and then you get that nice rail of blow come out, and you're like, oh, best car ever. That's why you spend extra for the BMW. And then as Crash would say, then there's a little button on the dashboard. You press the button, and the black helicopters come to save you when you've crashed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Tiger.
Mm-hmm. It is Tiger. There's in motorcycle news, if anybody gives a shit anymore.
Nah.
No, what the hell? It's better when podcasts aren't about motorcycles. We beat that dog to death.
Yeah, right. We need a new topic.
Why can't we have better topics? Not even joking around. Harley Davidson, you will know that a few months ago we had I had alluded to the fact that I had been in a warehouse and was invited to look at the Raiders of the Lost Ark collection of Harley Davidsons that were being accumulated due to Harley Davidson over the past couple of years, giving people ridiculous trade-in values on their old motorcycles to get them to take new ones. Now, even with this high degree of stimulus prior to COVID, they had said, we desperately need to sell new Harley Davidsons to keep anyone from seeing what our numbers actually are. And they did take in some trades that maybe you or I wouldn't have agreed to. And they've been sequestering these trades in a warehouse, a secret Al Capone vault, of not one or two, but thousands of motorcycles.
See, but on the bright side, next year they're coming out with the new 88.
Right. It's going to be the 2022 throwback edition 88. Now, all they're going to do is stamp a different letter into the 10th digit of the VIN, and they'll be reintroducing all your favorites from the mid-90s. Yes. Complete with all kinds of Farkle already on them. They all come pre-Gremlin belt, right? They already have all of the Screaming Eagle shit on them. So we'll talk about that later. But they are doing that. And so Harley Davidson has announced that they are going to have a pre-owned, certified pre-owned Harley Davidson program. And so dealers will have the unique opportunity
To get used Harleys?
to get used Harleys direct from the motor company and sell them in competition with the new Harleys that they are being forced to sell at gunpoint. Won't be unpopular at all with the dealers, I'm sure. It'll be a rollicking success.
And there's definitely not a large market of used Harleys out there.
No, they wouldn't be competing against anybody like themselves. Right, exactly. I was going to say, are they just going to have these used Harley dealerships located right next to the Indian dealers? Because that seems to be the most obvious choice.
Right.
I went to the joint out in Medina, and we were like, oh, they had a free demo ride.
Right on, yeah.
So I got to drive a brand new Harley. I actually enjoyed it. It
Sure.
was Ultra Glide, fucking the best thing they got. I'm like, well, I'd never ride this otherwise.
Right.
But over here, there's 150 bikes all parked over here, and I'm like, what's with all those? Well, that's all the used stuff.
That's trades.
Not even trying to show you that.
Nope.
No prices on them. No nothing.
No, those are waiting to go in an 18-wheeler.
There's some poor kid who has to push them outside
Yep.
every day and push them back in.
That's right. And that's the whole thing is dealers were doing anything they could to move new iron, including pay too much for old iron. And that's a tough jam. We say that, and I bring that up only because
Tough jelly, too.
yeah. Ooh. That's the difference between jam and jelly.
Yeah, so their new bike sales will plummet if
you are expecting a dealer to put himself in a position where he's going to show the brand new bikes that his contract says he has to sell X many of per year, and then you give him his own competition, meaning bikes that are pre-owned that he has to sell X number per year, or even if you don't tell him how many he has to sell, the fact that they're available, it's going to turn into a race to the bottom. So if my dealership doesn't want to do that, if I only want to sell 2021s and 2022s, but Steve's dealership wants to order in 500 twin cam 88s and sell them for $5,000 a piece, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
It's a race to the bottom. He'll make a buy two get one special or something.
They just got a new CEO lady too, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things happening at Harley, and that's fine. And again, I'm going to preface this: don't fucking hate on me too much. I own a 2014 Harley Davidson Road King Police Edition that I ride harder than most of you. I have done the law enforcement training. I've had that bike on the ground hundreds of times. I've picked it up. That's fine. I have done it as much as I can do it. Yesterday, I bought a 2005
very sexy
FLCHRSTPLA. Oh, no, it's a fucking Springer. So I bought a Springer Softail fuel injected 2005.
Can I buy a vowel?
Exactly. No shit. It's called a Festishable. But a customer came in and bought my Eldo 1400 and was nice enough to pay me for it.
You got the good end of the deal.
He won. He called me. When he left, we told him to call me because he had a really long ride to go home, over an hour and a half. And James was like, make sure you give us a call when you get home, because he didn't leave here until after 6. And so he brought the bike in. I test rode his Springer. And I was like, oh, it's a Springer. And of course, it was a twin cam 88. So of course, it had all the evidence around from where it had failed. And then, fair enough, 37,000 miles on a twin cam 88, that shit ain't stock. Right. So all the things had been put in the motor to make it now be a motor. Mm-hmm. So all the sins were forgiven from the factory. And I took it out for a ride, and it was fun. But I've really wanted a Springer just because it's a Springer. I've wanted a Springer just because I haven't had one.
That's the one part of that bike I like.
It's me too.
The front. I like the Springer. Get rid of the seat.
I like the front
Everything
three.
Else needs to change on it.
Well, you paid extra.
Yeah.
You paid extra for the flames, though, too.
Well, the flames were extra. Okay. So this bike is done in a classic hot rod black with 1950s style flames.
I don't hate it, man.
The way the bike is going to end up, right now it's got the Sons of Estrogen handlebars on it. And it's got those big ugly T-bars on it that are only good for getting from your probation office to jail. And it's got the Super Camaro, like, flaming mirrors.
Yeah.
Why would a mirror be on fire?
I don't know.
It's not even remotely flammable or inflammable. But anywho,
it coordinates.
It does. But there's a lot of sins on this bike right now. Yeah. In fact, I think this bike is like 3 different bikes that got together and had a party, and this bike came out of it. This is like a Turdashin Duckin. Yeah. It's all kinds of shit. It's kind of a platypus. So it's just a genetic fuck up. But anyway, I can fix it. So my goal is, I don't know if you guys know this, but the original Springer that, I'm sorry, the new Springer was meant to be a Harley Davidson 48. So 1948 Harley Davidson had a lot going for it. We can look at pictures of one and stuff, but a 1948 Harley Davidson was a really sexy motorcycle. And that's what the Springer was meant to emulate. Now, why I liked 1948 Harley Davidsons was because of what the guys did to those bikes when they got back from World War II. Yeah. So the guys who came back from World War II that weren't being shot at enough anymore, they had to buy motorcycles and cut pieces off of them. And they bought leftover, shitty, war surplus or whatever, 48 Harley Davidsons with Springer front ends and stuff, and then they took pieces off. So that's what I'm going for. So this motorcycle will be systematically circumcised. There's going to be a lot more things taken away from this motorcycle. And then as we keep taking things away from it, I think it'll be getting closer to something that matches that paint job. So the paint job is 1950s hot rod paint job.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
And it's not from the Harley catalog. It's something somebody did, and it's really nice.
First thing to go is the seat.
Yes.
I hate the seat on that is just awful.
The seat's terrible. Yeah.
Solo seat, or maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think solo seat.
I love the solo seat on my police bike. Yeah, so my Road King Police is my favorite seat on any motorcycle I've ever owned. I love it to death. And so I think we're going to go with the solo seat, just like that 48 would have.
You're going to keep the fat front wheel?
Yeah. So in fact, I'm going to try to make it fatter. So I'm not going to be happy until there's Firestone
I even don't mind, like, you know how like the shovel heads had
Yeah.
the dual solo seat where it was a long solo seat, so you actually could almost fit.
There was a buddy seat. I mean, that was a really, really long solo seat, and you know it looks hilarious. But
You're
that's
gonna do a 32 front tire, right?
yeah.
A car tire? Are you putting car tires on it?
We're going full donk on this thing.
We talked about this in a podcast. Right?
It's gonna be just redonkulous. But not joking. When as I'm walking away from the mic, the target for this bike is, you know, I don't. Anybody who listens knows that I don't love Harley Davidson as a company. I don't love Harley Davidson as an ethos. I don't own a piece of clothing that I didn't get for free that says Harley Davidson on it. Right,
Dude, today I pulled into a Chinese restaurant, and sitting there, probably the owner's son or something like that.
Yeah.
Was I don't even know what year, but it was a Kawasaki. I think a ZX6.
Yeah.
It looked to be a four-banger.
Yeah.
It was probably 600 cc's. Almost no fairing, nothing, no body work left on it.
Yeah.
A bald rear tire.
Right
all
on.
that. And I looked at that bike and I said to myself, you know, that bike right there in that condition
Yeah.
could still outride any Harley Davidson, could outperform any
Guarantee it.
Harley Davidson, even in its poor, decrepit, clapped out. It's still, I'd almost rather have that bike than any Harley Davidson.
And I love when you read the articles about the twin cam 88s and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, it has no problem getting up to 75 miles per hour.
Right.
Well, it fucking shouldn't. It's 1,450 cc's. For fuck's sake, what do you mean you're putting in the goddamn review that it has no problem getting up to 75 miles an hour? Right. It's got a fucking car engine in it.
No, it's bigger than my Town Ace.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
That little Kawasaki sitting there all sad and everything still does 100 mile an hour in first gear.
And
probably.
I did read, and I was like, okay, top speed in the quarter mile was 92 miles per hour. It accomplished the quarter in 15 hours, 13 seconds or something like that.
So an Accord is faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, all things are faster, right? All things are faster. And then basically says, well, you know, it's got exactly the right amount of motor you'd want for this archaic front suspension. And it is funny. I mean, it's like, it is hilarious that why would I want to have,
That's tasty, Dan.
you know, and like they said that the brakes are completely up to the job of the shitty suspension.
Wow.
Whereas every other Harley Davidson has got really big, giant, good stoppers on it, remarkably, because they're not made by Harley Davidson, but they you outsource what you need to work. And but yet the Springer, due to certain design elements of the Springer, it just has half as much brakes. Yeah. So they were like, well, if you want to make the Springer stop in a hurry, you probably shouldn't have started. So they don't say that. I made that up.
Have you guys noticed recently in watching YouTube videos, advertisement for the Indian bikes?
Yeah.
Okay, they're
yeah.
pushing a lot.
They're pushing
they're putting
hard.
a lot of
Hell
money
yeah.
in. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That
yeah.
was what I had the one day, though. The guys riding the Indians. And they were, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Look at the money that went into this
Yeah,
advertising to try
and they're
to
still pushing
snag
it.
hipsters into
Oh,
riding
yeah.
bikes.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And that was like we were joking about the hipster motorcycle commercial bingo card.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the hipster motorcycle commercial bingo card. Because when you posted that link up for
Whatever that-
HWI,
Yeah, that was at HWI.
yeah.
What was it? Do we ever figure out what it was?
Oh yeah, I figured it out. It's HWI stands for Harry White and Young. It doesn't really. I made that up. That's total bullshit. But
But was it a clothing
sense.
company? Was it a aftermarket? Like, what the fuck was
no,
it?
it's a conversion camp. You send your otherwise normal son who's into like heterogeneous shit. If he's like, you catch him in the backyard building shit, you send him to HWI camp.
But dude, that video,
Yeah.
the bikes, everything was shaking off of it, and it was like they were proud of that.
No, the bikes were garbage. And in fact, I was like, dude, you got to kiss that guy. I was watching that video and I was like, these two guys got to make out. Because honestly, the whole setup was beautiful. The sun was setting in the background. The one guy walks past the other guy and he's got his like yellow hanky in his back pocket.
They
and
braid
the
their
whole
beards together.
Exactly. And I was like, these dudes are going to dock and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be so fucking, it's going to be sexy.
So they went out to make this cool, like fucking like hardcore Harley thing, and then they made like the most romantic gay fucking
They
like
did.
thing that you've ever.
Oh my God.
Or like the one video that I had.
That was a biker love
They're getting
epic.
a hand down.
Yeah.
They're going.
Oh,
to a
yeah,
curve
that-
and
oh, I hate
touching
that.
the ground.
Yeah.
Get a hand down.
You got a hand down on
got
it.
a hand
You got a hand down.
I must be
I'll tell you,
visiting
man.
the wrong websites because I'm not getting any of these ads.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I watched that and I was
Commercials.
just like, if these dudes don't kiss, 1 star.
Well, I don't know. It got recommended to me.
It was not satisfying. 1 star.
I really can't say anything. I have a reputation for being a little cuddle bug.
Look. And again, if you come here at our stupid podcast to find people hating on like gay or whatever, no,
it's not.
Honestly,
the case. No,
I don't give a shit. But that video,
yeah, it was
the
Camaro.
reason it fails is because it was trying to be softcore gay porn.
Right.
And like the director has got like 19 things on Grindr.
Oh, what a man.
All of his references are just on Grindr.
I felt bad, like kind of in one way. Like I'm sure the dudes that were riding the bikes had no idea what it was going to turn out to be.
No,
Because like they were thinking they were going to come off as like these greasy, hard. Like,
I watched
fucking
it 7
chopper
times
dudes.
and I still don't know what they're trying to sell.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
I think the opposite. Those guys are perfectly happy with it. They think they're like, this is fucking awesome. Yeah.
honestly, I don't think it's advertising a product. I think it's advertising a filter on Instagram.
That could be.
So I think that the filter would be like, so you've got a Evo era Harley Davidson, and you've put a 6-over front end on it. This is the HWY filter you'll need to make it look proper, like it was from the
Isn't that
70s.
like sort of an abbreviation for highway.
Of course it is. Yeah. That's overstating the obvious.
They're not going straight. They're going gaily forward.
Homo, white, and young. That's all it is, man. And look. First we're gonna make fun of people with guns, and then we're gonna not actually make fun of gay people. Yeah, there it is.
Get the whole
HWI.
spectrum.
But okay, so their image on their website is that of like the left side of a Harley Davidson motor.
It's rusted and fucked, and
It's rusted and fucked up, and they just got it out of the junkyard, right? And that makes it cooler.
They're actually gay guys.
Wait, I
That's
think they're
fine.
selling motors. I think they're selling those shitbag motorcycles.
Are they selling pre-rusted motorcycles?
They're selling. Look at.
Holy shit,
jeans
they're
with holes
selling
in them.
pre-rusted motorcycles.
Yeah.
Those pipes, dude.
It doesn't matter, but I mean, so I need more information.
Do you
I would like to know more.
do you think I could sell pre-rusted motorcycles?
I think you'd be better for the commercial.
I've actually
Okay, so
purchased
Steve-
pre-rusted.
Look at the motors.
Steve's job.
I'll put this up on the podcast.
Well, first of all, that carburetor is missing 6 parts off the tick.
right.
I've spent
Right.
half of my life getting rid of the rust. Now,
No.
me that was worth something.
Back to bike builds, but
Isn't
I'm
the
I'm
filter?
confused. But
Do something with your life.
no. Shop now. I want to shop now. Because those bikes aren't for sale.
Right, what do
I
they
clicked
sell?
shop now, and you know what it gave me?
Apparel.
404 page not found.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So they spent like $30,000 on some fucking dude that made a gay fantasy motorcycle film and never promoted their product. Well done, guys. Well done.
Well, and more importantly,
or maybe they just have a poor sap friend of theirs that's really good at doing that stuff for a living, and they got him to do it for free.
well,
You'd have to be a schmuck to do something like
They
that.
never bothered to make their website work.
so apparently this is all about. So it is a clothing. So just so you guys know,
Yeah.
it is a clothing company. Okay,
Lifestyle.
it's a lifestyle company. They've got.
They're from California, but they said that we only talk Portland bands.
What?
Oh my God! So for the record, their website has 2 leather jackets they bought at a flea market. They have got some other stuff that's thrift store chic. But what's funny is there is the bike builds thing. So apparently the 4 guys that run this company each have built a motorcycle. One is called the Devil's Rickshaw, one is called the Yard Dog, one is called the Peace Pipe, which, by the way, the Peace Pipe and the Devil's Rickshaw, I think, are the same bike, and so is the Little Devil. So they've got the 3 exactly the same bikes with different pipes on them.
Buddies, and they're riding.
They are
man.
living the life, dude. These 4 guys got together and paid a whole lot of money for somebody that I know to build them shitty panheads, right? That's all these are. These are hipster knuckles and hipster pans. That's all they are. They're just, that's what you got going on
Do you
here.
think these guys spoon each other at night?
I hope so. That'd be.
I mean, that'd be nice. I think that would be redeeming. But I would think what's happening instead is they're talking about how they're going to take over the internet with their next viral video that they're going to create to be viral.
I just like the open primaries with the fucking gears and shit hanging out.
I
and
couldn't.
everything. And,
Yeah,
That's the video you sent us, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And
watched
I mean-
like 10 seconds of it, and it's like it. I felt like I was getting showered with old douche.
Douche. Yeah. Right. And basically all these are is they were lucky enough, or creative enough to find somebody's build from the 70s. Like,
Right.
these are just backyard garage find.
But the thing
Probably got these on American Pickers and paid too much.
I guarantee you, in the 70s,
Yeah.
they actually were shiny, and the guys tried to make them look good.
They did.
And they tried to tighten the shit
Right.
down, but it
Yeah.
got loose after 40 years. These dudes think it's cool to have a carb falling off.
This guy thinks it's hilarious to have a peanut tank on the bike that says Triumph
Right.
on a Harley Davidson,
Right.
which is just, crossing
hate peanut
swords. Yeah.
tanks.
And of course, they all have the bayonet as the shifters. They got the old bayonet bent up to be the shifter handle and shit.
Are we going to
like
talk about
all the old
Sons
tricks?
of Anarchy vest video?
Come on, that was funny. Did you watch it or no?
No, I didn't. You know what? For the
that
record,
was
I avoid
pathetic.
anything Sons of Anarchy like the
no,
plague.
no. You posted that you bought that bike.
I did.
And I said, now you're going to have to be careful when you wear your
When I
colors.
joined the Sons of Entropy.
So this poor fucking kid, his girlfriend buys
Yeah.
him a Sons of Anarchy like leather
Okay,
vest
all right,
that literally
yeah.
says Sons of Anarchy on
Cut
the
to
back.
guys.
Sons of Anarchy Incorporated.
And it says prospect.
Trademark.
It says prospect on the front.
Sure, yeah, of course
And
it does.
Everything, right?
Because it's a prop. I mean, it's a fake prop.
Right.
Yeah.
This dude rolls up and he gets off a bike apparently or something. And it's the guy.
I think he was in a truck because there was like a.
Oh, was it a truck?
There was a truck like pointed at an angle. Like he rolled up on the guy, got out, started videotaping. Hey, I like your cut. Oh, thanks, man. But you really shouldn't be wearing something like that.
Oh, he got audited.
I ought to take that off of you.
I
Yeah.
ought to take that off of you.
He goes,
Yeah.
"Where'd you get it?" And the kid, like, he's just like this 20-year-old.
Is that licensed Disney apparel? Because on behalf of the mouse,
Well, the kid
I'm here
was
to
like-
enforce the
it's
rules.
like my girlfriend bought it for me for Christmas.
Right.
It's just a TV show.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
kid
he
knew.
was just a TV show.
He was the
In
most
case you
honest.
weren't sure,
Yeah.
there's a TV show.
He's like, he was the most honest. I give the
Right.
kid credit. He's like
Yeah.
the most honest, like this nice, like, yeah. He goes, he's got anybody else give you any problems with it? He's like, or no, he goes, did anybody else ever talk to you about it? He's like, a couple people complimented me on it.
They
I
said it
guess.
was cool
Anybody
looking.
on a motorcycle ever talk to you about it?
Yeah.
No, not one other person ever talked to
No,
me
because
about it.
honest, as a 24/7 motorcycle rider, you couldn't get me to say boo to anybody wearing a Sons of Anarchy vest.
No.
Legit. The worst thing that might happen is a conversation, and I don't want any part of that.
Then again, it's like, I'm not even going to judge somebody. Like, okay, you like to show about motorcycles on TV.
Right.
Cool. Like, whatever. I don't, like, you're not going to judge somebody. This
Peg
dude's like-
Bundy's in
I
that.
just want
She
you to
rocks.
know that people. I just want you to know that people died for the right to wear that vest.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this guy was a fucking
like-
champion, dude.
I also want. I'm just letting you know because somebody
You
might
caught
kick,
me- no,
somebody
remember-
would kick your face in.
Remember, he said, he goes, you caught me on the day. It's daylight, so I really can't do anything right now. Like,
What?
Oh, yeah.
Is he a vampire?
No, it's,
My super biker powers only work at night.
I just want you to know what's going on with that.
And don't get me wet or feed me after midnight.
because like people would kick your face in, and I just don't want you to get your face in.
how many times does that guy say, like, I just want you to know? Like, he
I
keeps
just
coming
want you to
back.
know.
I just want you to know.
Well, that's his tagline.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
You know,
funny.
his tagline is, I just
John
want you
had
to
a
know.
point.
And on the back, it used to be get her done.
So what made me come to my conclusion was when he said this. You know what? I'm going to have to ask you to do me a huge favor.
I'm going to have to ask you.
Yeah, take that vest off.
If you could get those
Just take
TPS
that-
reports done, I'd be really happy.
Can you just take that vest off and put it and just take that vest off now?
I'm going to have to ask you to do me a huge favor.
And when I heard
That's
that-
fucking hardcore shit
When I
right there.
heard that, I
That's
said-
fighting words.
I said, that guy's a cop.
Yeah.
He's riding with
Oh,
the Blue Knights.
oh.
I'm going to have to ask you to do me a huge favor.
So you're right. You're right. That guy's in the Warthogs.
I can't tell you to take
He's
it
not in
off.
the Blue Knights. He's in
I'm
the
going to
Warthogs.
ask you to. I'm going to ask you to do me a huge
That
favor.
dude's a
so you don't
steel
get your ass
soldier.
kicked. Take it off and put it.
He's a steel soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those guys.
I didn't get that. You're
I'm a
right.
cop.
You're right.
I'm a cop, but I'm also an outlaw biker. You can't do that.
Yeah, the Warthogs. I got
All
two,
of them.
I got
All
two
of them.
friends that are in
Warthogs,
the
steel soldiers, whatever the heck it is. I don't care. That's your jam, whatever. But honestly, you cannot be an outlaw biker and also be a cop.
Yeah, it doesn't work, right?
See, I
No,
thought
it's legitimately like, dude.
I
You can
thought you
either
might
fuck
be from
humans
that-
or you can fuck dogs. But you can't be a human and fuck dogs. That's weird. You can be a dog and fuck dogs. But if you're a dog that fucks humans, somebody's going to put you down. Right? That's it.
I don't blame you.
Stay in your fucking lane.
Good on you for trying.
I've seen some very sexy dogs, but it doesn't matter.
Oh my god!
I can't join that club.
I'm pretty convinced there's a lot of single women who are fucking their dogs because of the
When I was a police
It's
officer,
my fur baby.
when I was a police officer, I never ever thought, you know what, I should be an outlaw biker. Come on, man. What the shit? Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mess.
The comments are the best,
Man,
though.
I'm nailed to the X. Give me some of that
Yeah,
heroin.
but the best part, like
Yeah,
Steve said,
right.
is
The comments, the best one was, I don't care about your vest, but I got scared when he was starting to light up a cigarette around that gas pump.
somebody's like, this kid's more of a badass than that guy. He's sitting there ready to light a cigarette right in front of the gas pump.
Wearing his Walt Disney vest. Yeah, exactly.
But like the whole thing is so cute because he's like, my girlfriend got it for me as a
Exactly.
Christmas present. Like, he
He's
didn't
probably
even
being
lie.
nice,
Yeah.
like a comment. I'm like, either this guy was huge or it was like open carrying or something.
Right.
Why didn't this kid just tell this guy to go fuck his head? I don't-
Exactly.
There was
I'm like,
some reason he was definitely intimidated by the guy for a minute.
something. I just don't know. I wouldn't have lasted 2 seconds with this guy, and I'm like, oh boy.
Where'd you get that vest? Your mom gave it to me for Christmas.
Like, who
Yeah.
the fuck are you? Go fuck
Yeah,
off.
exactly. Yeah, right after I got done tattooing my name on
face
her.
in? Come here. I'm kicking your face in now.
And by the way, just for fun, I did look up their website is I'm going to give these guys a plug.
Okay.
Okay.
Their website is, you're going to love this, hwy.com.
I love it.
Highway.
Why?
But wait, at least they're not highway12345.com.
Right.
But anyway, this is from their 1943 EL Knucklehead build.
Okay.
Look at the screen.
Yeah, that's.
They literally have a side plate trim piece zip tied. No shit. Those are 1943 zip ties in front of the carburetor to adjust the air fuel mixture or to keep large stones from going in, one of the two. But they're using official 1943 pre-war zip ties and Harbor Freight worm clamps doubled up on their Chinese fuel line to keep the gasoline going into it and keep small items from going into. This is how they did the air fuel mix, was that fucking silver side plate.
Why is it shaped like that? What tool was used to make that?
To make what?
That plate.
That oval?
Yeah.
No, that oval came off of something else.
Well,
that
yeah.
oval is repurposed. I don't know. His mom's vibrator. I don't know. Who fucking knows?
I like all the open primaries.
Well, and no, what I love is literally the dog chain, like the bent link, the curved link dog chain
Yeah.
that goes from the hand clutch or foot clutch back over the duplex primary chain. So rather than using a rod, they're literally using a piece of the dog chain, and it's not dog chain for a big dog. That's like dog chain for a Chihuahua.
Which, if it gets stuck in that primary,
Who
they're
gives a
having a
shit?
good fucking
Right,
day
exactly,
right there.
yeah.
Well, the budget was not
Well, okay, so
quite
you
what
can
it
shift
needed
up
to
or you
be.
can shift down, but how do you go the other way and push it back the other? Like,
Again,
Wow.
my point to you is, using hipster math, what was paid for this bike? I'm going to say $60,000.
Yeah, right?
That's it. I'm going to say, if there's a camera, Steve will walk into it.
I just can't see it from
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me pull the picture up for you. So that's the cover we're talking about on the carburetor. See the cover?
Yeah.
The cover's just a trim piece from something else.
so
and it's
the
literally
simplest-
held on with zip ties.
carburetor in the world.
Yeah.
But rather than clean it, we're just gonna put a
Filter.
We're gonna have.
We could put one of your mom's nylons on there and it would clean the air, right? But then my favorite part is literally on the left side of the motor by the primary. You'll see the same chain you use on a screen door to keep a screen door from blowing all the way open. That same chain is what's pulling his clutch.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's using screen door chain. Yeah. So there you go.
Other than the gas tank, is there a single painted surface?
I
on
don't.
this
Yeah.
bike?
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
And-
Well, I guarantee you that a lot of
Well, I
that
like
was
the
rough
knife.
added to it.
I was going to say
I
that's
like the
the
knife.
third. That's the third bayonet I've seen on these bikes. So apparently you can't really be cool until you've got a bayonet on your motorcycle somewhere.
What
Yeah.
does the plate cover say?
The plate cover says "just passing through." It's a retro metal license plate. That's
That
the
looks like a
coolest part of the
Pennsylvania
bike.
plate.
That's the coolest part of the bike.
It's an old Cali. That's actually yeah. I don't know whose plate that is, but yes. And then of course, rather than have a bicycle pedal on your Kickstarter, you just have nothing at all. But like these aren't good bikes at all. Anyway,
They're not going on long rides.
well, I mean they are, but somebody does a lot of pickup truck
As
driving.
long as they're
Yeah,
documented.
right. Yes, they're heavily documented, very short rides.
So what do you think a hipster would pay for a bike like that?
I think it costs
Depends on how much.
three
Oh my parents-
or four times more than the drone he uses. to shoot the videos. Yeah. He put all of his money into the drone. He had very little left over for the bike.
I would pay for that motorcycle
Right.
$2,000.
You know what? Here's the weird thing is, because people have gotten so just queer for pans, like, and so Knuckles were originally, everybody was queer for Knuckles.
right, they were the
and
thing.
then everybody got queer for pans. And I heard a guy the other day that was like queer for shovels. And I was like, wow,
I've got a shovel in my garage.
holy shit, like legit, like, wow, this is where we're going?
Yeah.
I have got a stack of Cure cassettes that are going to be worth a fortune shortly. Because if we've gotten to the point where shovels are extremely desirable,
Right.
then we know the next great thing is that whole collection of cassette tapes.
Well, it's like the worst of the 80s are coming back.
It is the worst
now.
of the 80s
It's
are
not
coming
even like
back.
now. It went from like fun little parties that people
Yeah.
were throwing. It's like people's whole thing are going into it. My 18-year-old daughter now is wearing high-waisted jeans that are acid washed.
Yes.
And I'm like, dude, that wasn't cool. When I
Oh,
was
you know
young.
what? Fuck Bitcoin. Z Cavarici.
Z Caver. Oh, shit.
The hell with Bitcoin. Invest
Oh,
in
the
Z
buttons?
Cavarici.
Oh, yeah.
What is
Invest
that?
in Z.
You don't remember those from the 80s?
No, he was getting beat up.
They were like MC
getting
Hammer.
beat.
MC
He
Hammer.
was getting scared. He wasn't giving scared. Yeah.
MC Hammer had the big baggy pants.
Yep.
So like it
Balloon
became
pants.
a Chess King sold them in the mall, and they were like baggy here, but then like this had like 50 buttons, and they were skin tight, and it came up to fucking here.
Yeah.
So like you'd have a button shirt that was baggy that puffed out here with pants that sucked in here, and then they bagged back out here. And some were gold on one side and
I
black
don't
on the
even
other.
remember that.
Arsenio Hall used to wear them,
Yep.
but like it was kind of like an African American thing. But then you'd get the dudes like the dudes in Menor that were trying to be super sweet, and they would just like strap them on and be like, yeah. So you go at the clubs and you see all the dudes like the white guys with like the fake high tops, haircuts
You
and
know,
stuff.
there was
wearing the
this
Z
there was this
Cavaricis.
DJ that I heard about that was always wearing it, named Sleepy C, I think.
DJ
Or-
Scratch and
Something like
DJ
that.
Scratch and Sniff.
Yeah, that
or-
is it, yeah.
I can honestly say I did not wear Z Cavaricis, man. First of all, I've never been a skinny guy, so it wouldn't have been a fucking good thing.
Ah, that's funny. Yep. The when you think back to that 80s era, and it is true. I mean, something made people think that all that shit was good ideas. Like there was no, nobody said I got an extra 17 yards of fabric laying around.
I had a pair of acid wash like jeans.
Yeah.
But then they had pleats in it and like a double or triple button. Like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
they were like,
That's kind of like a Z
And I was wearing
Cavarici.
like a sweater with that, this picture of me is like, oh, what were you doing, man?
Did you peg the bottoms though?
Yes.
You saw that picture I posted recently, my
yeah.
brother and I got my CBX,
Yeah.
and my brother's got his
You're both in
CB750K.
Canadian tuxedos.
We are both wearing so much acid wash denim. It's amazing. And that stuff had no durability. So if you hit the ground in that, you just went into confetti.
But I like how you had a jacket, but that wasn't enough. You had an acid wash jean shirt underneath your acid wash
I had
jacket.
a chambray shirt.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had a chambray shirt, and my brother and I both had our pants pegged.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were both wearing Nikes.
Well,
And
I don't think I had to peg my pants because they were tapered pants.
they came
Like,
pre-pegged.
Like, they were already like tight.
Yeah.
It was, like big enough, like poofy around the waist and
Yep.
tight at the legs. Like
Yeah, my brother was riding a 1981 and I was riding a 79.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
picture was taken in like 1992.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you think about like that's it. And when I see the idea of like that shit coming back, I get really terrified. Like
I know.
it's going to be surf style and
Oh, yeah. Well, I did have though. I have to admit, and I'll bring a picture. In 1990 or 91, I had a black Bronco 2 with fluorescent pink and blue squiggly lines down the side.
Yeah.
Fluorescent KC lights, fluorescent pink, and then and this is important. You can always tell a true 1980s 90s truck is the double windshield wipers.
Yes.
You had to have the double windshield wipers
With the air dams on them.
with the air dams.
It's extra downforce on your wipers.
yes.
Cam has entered the chat.
They were the same color as my car,
Yep.
or they were neon. One of the two.
And then I spent a whole fucking like weekend painting all my suspension fluorescent pink.
Nice.
And then I had a fucking set of aluminum slotted rims,
Yep.
and I taped them all off,
Yep.
and I painted the inside
Inside
of
of
the
the
slots.
holes.
Fucking
Yeah,
fluorescent
right.
pink. Yeah,
Yeah.
buddy. And I go to the park on Saturday at 8:30 and just sit there waxing it. Like, yeah, what's up, man?
Man.
My Fiat Spider was originally this awful vomit yellow, and at some point somebody put these mag slot wheels on it and painted the inserts of the slots.
Oh, really?
Vomit yellow.
Vomit yellow.
Very nice.
Perfect. That's good attention to detail right there.
Period,
You know,
correct.
nothing beats good detailing. Yeah. So true. And that's where we were. I mean,
An actual period.
I'm not out of line when people are telling me, they're like, oh man, the bike I'd kill for. And I'm like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. And yeah, it's turned into a lot of like, oh, an 83, whatever. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, that was a bad bike. I'm like, no, that was a really, really bad bike.
Here's one of the things about
It was kind of a low watermark for motorcycles in general.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like going into a store, or a restaurant and asking for a bottle of Lambrusco.
Yes, exactly. Bring me a bottle of your finest Lambrusco. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes.
I think it's funny that all the the KZ 1000s and the H1s and all this shit.
yeah.
Like they're cool. If you're a vintage guy and you're into the bike because of the looks and you're into it because like you had one and you want that feeling back or something, I understand that. You're restoring it and you want to bring it back. It's great. But it's the guys that have them that are like, oh, that's a beast. That's the most gnarly motor. So I'm like, have you ever ridden a fucking 1992 600 F2?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
that thing will smoke that bike.
Yeah, and that is true. That is absolutely true. All of our ancestors, when they got out of jail, they bought a liter class inline 4-cylinder
Right.
with not enough tire, nowhere near enough suspension,
No brakes.
and 81 horsepower.
Right.
Right. And but a Speedo that went to 200.
Right.
In this room, we have with us an Indian Scout. I invite any one of you to go find the Scout and tell me on an Indian Scout what the speed is on the speedometer. Anyone? Go ahead. It's out there. Easter egg hunt.
Steve's got it.
Don't
Steve's
hit
going to
the
go
camera.
find the Indian Scout. Find the Indian Scout and tell me what the speed is on the speedometer.
Oh, Chris
Okay.
is back up.
Yep. Tell me what it is because I really, really want to know. No, I don't. But I know what it is. But this is what
wanna know.
I want to
Is
make
that one
sure.
of the bikes you picked up on your epic journey?
No, this is a bike that we've had in for winter storage, and the owner has decided to let us sell it for him on consignment because he decided he was too old for motorcycles, so he sold his Harley. He thought he'd buy a Scout because it was a kinder, gentler motorcycle, and Scouts have foot forward ergonomics.
Is it in kilometers?
Nope.
What's the price range?
What?
200?
It says 200.
Oh.
I shits thou not. And how does it say 200?
Very small.
What happens after, like, where does the speedometer get weird?
120.
So the speedometer goes up to 120 like a normal speedometer. And then in the width of a blonde one, they've squeezed the numbers between 120 and 200.
So it's exponential.
Yeah.
As though you
Right.
might... Hold on, read it. Let's see.
From 0 to 20,
0 to 20.
the needle moves from 0 to 20 in the same space.
It goes from...
Yeah.
To 200.
Okay, so you can either go from 0 to 20...
Yeah.
As long as it takes you to go from 0 to 20, that motorcycle will go from 120 to 200
You know what?
when shot from a cannon.
I gotta say, my Hyundai is the same way.
It is?
It goes up to, I think, 65 or 60 miles an hour. It's like the increments. It's like in like 5 mile an hour increments,
Right.
and after that, it's 10 mile an hour increments.
What?
Each line. Yeah,
Huh.
and it throws me off every time I look at it.
I have a question for you.
What?
So at what point on your Hyundai does it stop being a normal increment and go to a subterfuge increment?
So
Seriously, I want to know. Like up until 60, is it normal and then it goes weird?
60. Well, it's not really weird. It's just compressed.
Compressed. I
Yes.
get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
At lunch today, I went to get the little adapters for the headphones.
Yeah.
And there's a dude in Menor. He's a white haired dude with a white beard. And he had a red bandana on,
Santa Claus.
and he had his Indian motorcycles jacket on, and he was on a cream colored Indian Chief that had a license plate that said Indian Motorcycles, and then the bags with the frills hanging on the back said Indian Motorcycles. Then across the front of the windshield, he had somebody make a giant vinyl silver and cream to match the bike. It said Indian Motorcycles. And the side of the tank said Indian Motorcycles, and the sleeve said Indian Motorcycles. So I pull up next to him on the light. I look over. I'm like, nice bike.
Nice
He's like,
Harley.
thanks. And I go, what kind of a bike is that?
But But you didn't check individual tassels. Said Indian.
Indian.
Probably did.
And he said Harley.
Nice Harley, bro.
Nice Harley, bro.
Nice.
I know that's what I would have said. Fuck it.
Yeah, I didn't think that fast.
Awesome V-Star.
Is that a CB750?
Go Vulcans. Give him the Vulcan salute and everything. But I will tell you that I don't know if you know this, but if you go to any person you've ever met who's been in the military, so if you see somebody who's been in the Army and you see their car, might have one sticker on it that says U.S. Army. And if you see somebody who's been in the U.S. and the Air Force, they'll want a sticker on it that says U.S. Air Force.
USMC or a little patch for the Marines.
Yeah, and if they've been in the Navy, there's usually a rainbow flag or something on the back. It's fine. but if they've been in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, my dad was one. My dad had.
If you're in the Marine Corps, you have at least 2 pieces of flare on your vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
And you're usually in parallel. So on the left side of the rear window, you have a United States Marine Corps sticker.
Yep.
And on the right side of the window,
Semper
you have the
Fi.
exact same sticker.
Or Semper Fi.
And a Semper Fi.
And a Semper Fi in the middle.
So my wife's known me for a long time, and she's known that I've held this belief for a long time. And every time we see a vehicle on the road, she's like, shit, you're right. She hates when I'm right about stuff because she's way smarter than I am. So I'm not allowed to be right about things. It costs me. But what happens is we're driving these motorcycles around on Monday making pickups and deliveries. We were in Cleveland, Columbus, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. We were in Portsmouth, Ohio, and went across the bridge to deliver bikes. And then we went to West Virginia, further into West Virginia, and then we went to Pittsburgh, all in one day, 13 and a half hours, giant circle, delivering bikes to people, making them happy like Santa Claus with motorcycles.
Woof.
Woof. But we went past a recruiter's office. And from the recruiter's office, from a very, very long distance away, we see the United States Marine Corps shield out front.
Oh, yeah.
And I went, here we go. And we're pulling up on it. On the right side of the building, United States Marine Corps. And then in the windows, United States Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And then on the door, Army. And the door, Air Force. And the door, rainbow flag. So we go to the front side of the building. And the front side of the building, United States Marine Corps, all the way across the top.
Right.
The windows, Semper Fi. And then Army, rainbow flag.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So all there, right? Air Force. And it was cool. And my wife is like, Jesus Christ. And I said, this is the point. Every Marine I know has Marine Corps tattooed on them in multiple locations. Like you never have to flip them over. You just know where to return the body.
If I didn't feel it was, stolen valor, I'd probably wear my dad's jacket as a thing to be funny, because it's a red satin jacket.
Of course it is.
With the white, white things here. It says U.S. Marine Corps up on both sleeves.
On both sleeves.
It says Frozen Chosen, because he was kind of a badass thing, but it says Frozen Chosen Marine Corps on the back with the patch in the middle.
Right.
And of course it has the patch on the front. Mm-hmm. Then his thing down here.
Yeah.
And then on the band, on the back, it
Dude,
says
he's a
US.
20-sided die.
Yeah.
Honestly. No matter how you throw him, he comes up Semper Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uncle Sam's misguided children. They're just, look, I love them as much as anybody. They're great for finding landmines and all kinds of shit like that. But they're like, no shit. When it comes to the advanced, the battle sciences, Marine Corps didn't get, Marine Corps had Garands longer than anybody had Garands. The M14 rifle that you saw in Full Metal Jacket. The rest of the military had M16s, including our enemies. But the Marines still had M14s. Oh, yeah. And then they would argue with you about how it was better. The Marine, if you have a Marine in your shop, you'll know, because he'll argue with you about how points are better than, electronic ignition. Whatever. That's just, that's their jam. That's what they do.
Yeah.
But it is a Marine Corps thing. More hate mail to follow.
But you're saying this in love. We all love our forces.
Well, of course we do. But the honest thing
God
is,
bless the troops.
Every single one of us has met Wayne.
Yes.
Does anybody in this room think that Wayne was in the Air Force? Nope.
No.
Nope. And you do know that the Marines get off the boats with the rainbow flags on them. So, that's how it works. So when we think about our personal experience with our service members, and what folks go through, that guy I was making fun of earlier, despite his 27 pieces of flare that came in open carry, right, and 17 magazines, for Cleveland, west side thereof, that guy with all of his shit and 70 years old, when it came down to it, and I was like, well, I was in the military, I was in the Army for 8 years, total. How long were you in the Army? How long do you think he was in the Army? 3.
Oh.
It scarred him. No, I'm sorry. It became him, right? So he became something he did for 3 years.
Wow.
I worked at Bob's Big Boy. Have I ever mentioned?
There you go.
Have I ever mentioned it? Hold on, let me show you this tattoo.
I as well. And I was traumatized at Bob's Big Boy.
Another one?
I was a line cook, and the guy that was the other line cook was a cokehead.
Oh no.
And if you ever worked at a Bob's Big Boy on Sunday mornings, the fucking tour buses come in and all the old people, and then you just get fucking mauled. It's like 1,000 old people that all need special shit.
And they swear to God that tipping is a city in China.
Yeah, right.
Like they are not going to give you a nickel over your invoice.
So this fucking crackhead cokehead, and this is like 1988. I was like in 11th grade. So this dude's a cokehead. Like after we'd go on and he'd sneak beers, and he was cool to me because he'd give me a beer,
Right.
Meanwhile, he's doing lines in his car. He'd come in and he'd be fucking railed, right? He got so mad at the old people, he took the grill cleaner, the Ajax, whatever the fuck it is, like the toxic shit, and he put it in their fucking food.
Oh my
and got
God.
like 25 fucking people sick.
Oh yeah.
And like,
we did that too, but it was unsanitary. We had no chemicals involved. It was just bad housekeeping.
Bad housekeeping.
But they shut us down like 3 times.
But what happened is that's got people sick quick. So I'm traumatized because like 70 old people started vomiting on each other everywhere in the fucking restaurant. Dude. It was
That's got to be worth the
insane.
price of admission.
I left. I walked out. I never went back.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a
I'm gonna
tattoo
play it
to
now.
commemorate it?
I do. Just an old lady puking on the side of the street.
Yeah. I mean, we'll say what we'll say, but
I'll say one thing about, I've worked and, managed many people.
yeah.
Marines are the most loyal to me.
Yes.
To me, I love having the Marines work for me.
Yes.
Because if they would throw themselves in front, if somebody came into that building and started
every Marine I
shooting,
know.
they would throw themselves in front of you
Absolutely.
to save you. And they are, to me, they're...
Yeah.
Hoff's getting that mail now. He's getting
That's
the good
it.
mail. Yeah.
I'm gonna get the hate mail.
Yeah, he's gonna get flowers.
He's gonna get flowers and shit.
No, I'm serious.
And
all
all
the-
hell of a bill. Chris Smith just brought me a drink that should be on a magazine cover. He brought me a drink that legit
did you
looks
do
like
that?
backyard artisan.
Just keep throwing ice in it.
Honestly, this is a
There's
belt.
only 2 ounces of
That's
booze
like the
in there.
cover of
Where's
Farmhouse
mine?
Modern
It is.
magazine.
It really is. This is some hipster fucking Martha Stewart. And when Snoop Dogg and I get together and drink our gin and juice, we use the ball 32 ounce wide mouth, the ball 32 ounce wide mouth mason jar with the graduated cylinder on the side, so you get your mix just right.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Holy shit, Chris.
Beautiful.
He knows how to mix them.
Oh, but you know what? He lays the roofies on top. You got to put the roofies in the bottom. Yeah. You put the roofie on the top as an amateur move. God damn it.
Too soon.
Would you like some of my booze? 'Cause I have a quart and a half.
Oh,
I legit have straight up. Look
You
at
can
that.
have it. I don't need it.
Yeah, yeah. If this were jam or jelly, I'd have diabetes right now. Right. God, man, that's a fucking drink, man.
Thank you, sir.
Holy shit!
Oh, okay. I thought you were stealing it.
My God,
I threw him under the bus for nothing.
I bought twice last week.
what'd you buy, John?
Shit.
John woke up to tell us about a bike he bought.
He woke up.
That's the only thing I miss about Zoom. We can't put a dick on John's face right now.
S250. That's a Suzuki
Ooh.
Whoa! A DS.
TS.
Yes.
A TS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stands for Toasted Seals.
What about the
Or too
750?
stupid.
What about the 750 I sent you? Nothing? I thought that was going to be your Huckleberry, man.
4 carburetors. Fuck you.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's
I
a
agree.
great price. It's actually a great. That is a great deal.
Dude took the carbs off of a fucking a silver blue 750 CB750
Okay.
and says I don't have time to do it. $500 and it has
Okay.
30,000 miles min.
All right.
Shit.
Looks really nice.
16,000 miles.
16,000 miles.
All
Sorry.
right. What year?
The Bruce.
What year is it?
80,
Whoa. I'm sorry, what? You said?
80.
No.
That
Sorry.
changes everything.
No, it's got the nice tail and the fucking thing.
It's a twin
Dohawk.
cam.
Twin cam.
Yes, it's a twin cam.
but
yeah.
it's a nice bike. I like
It's
it.
a nice twin cam. Bruce was talking about getting a Nighthawk. I'm like, buy this thing for $500.
Twin cam. Can't touch it, man.
Nope.
Can't touch this.
Can't touch
Unless
twin
it's a
cam.
450.
Yeah, right. Fair game. Yeah, fair game. But I mean,
It's
I
a
want.
900.
I mean, there are no motorcycles in the Honda family that have brought me as much fucking bullshit as a twin cam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't too interested in it.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want them.
And there's 4 carburetors, 2 cams. It's got the wrong numbers of everything. Yeah, so you got a TS Toasty Seal 250.
Yeah. The main reason I got it was that was my original first bike.
Oh, shit. That's cool.
A guy I fucking know that I work with offered it to me. And
That's the one that he picked up.
He
And I was like,
He
I
offered
tried
it
to
to you.
blow him off for like about a year, and all of a sudden one day he's like, "You gonna buy that fucking bike or what?" I'm like, "I don't know. Okay, I'll buy it."
What year is it?
I would have traded him for something.
I tried to trade you for my Trail 90, but you didn't take that.
Yeah, but you also tried to trade your wife and a hand job for his African twin.
Well,
so
I've been
there
trying
is
to trade
that.
a lot for the African twin. No, Steve had the bike. He got it with his Elda Moto Guzzi.
Yeah.
And he paid $1,000 for both bikes, and so he only paid $500 for his Moto Guzzi, and I
Right.
paid $500 for the TS 250.
Mhm.
That's how it all ends up.
Yep. That's it.
It's
So
kind
we're
of
all
a muscle
happy.
bike. It's bent. The front end's all bent up and everything. And oh, you're happy. I didn't say I was. No, no, it's actually the body paintwork is really nice and everything. Tank was rusted inside. I just burnt that out with some milkstone remover, so it's looking
Good.
better. I ordered a new petcock, cleaned the carb, found out that the carb was pretty. I think somebody bought a new Mikuni for it, so it's
Oh.
not a Chai-Kuni.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's an actual new Mikuni. And when I took it apart, I found out they'd never had gas in it. You know why? Because that carburetor has the floats that float on posts and then move a bracket, not
Yep.
attached to the bracket.
That's
And
right.
They were flipped upside down.
Oh, you're
And I
right. There's
noticed-
never been gas in that carb. It's
I-
only been kicked 93,000 times.
I cleaned it and I put it back together, and when I noticed that the float bowl was spring loaded when
Yeah.
I tried to put it on, I'm like, that's not right.
That's not right.
And I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, these floats go this
Yep,
way.
exactly. Oh, that is a great. I mean, honestly, there's a tip. If you're ever trying to buy a TS 250 and you got a buddy who's got one and you really, 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 really want it, you can make his bike never run again. Pretty easy. Yeah.
10 minutes alone with
The hell with pulling a spark plug.
That's alone with your bike.
The gas tank was probably like the number 2 or 3 most rusty gas tanks on the inside
Okay. Yeah.
that I've encountered. And I've
Is
encountered
bad enough for a Caswell?
No.
Okay.
There's no holes in it.
All right.
And I burned it out, and it looked good.
Yeah.
So, but there was like when I got it, the fuel filter was just full of
Yeah,
rust. The
just
petcock
garbaged
is
out.
Impassable.
Yeah.
I ordered a new petcock for $9 on eBay.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep the original one and try to maybe rebuild it, but
Resurrect that.
there was no chance of fuel getting anywhere near
Through that
inside
carburetor.
into the motor.
That's good.
So this morning, bright and early, I had the privilege of going to an impound lot in North Olmsted.
to get dude's thing.
So to get our friend Joe Howard, podcast veteran, funny man about town, generally speaking, one of the most hilarious guys I know.
That's who Scooty Scoot it was.
So I went to the impound lot, and after much negotiations with the owner's wife, she did agree to give me passage into their lot, and I did eventually find his bike and was able to get it. And there it is up on the screen. His
Nice.
baby blue Stella. Yeah, and not too bad. I mean, honestly, considering he had broken ribs and a collapsed lung and a big contusion on his forehead and everything else, bike looks fantastic from the left side. And then on the right side, then you see the problem. So you see the side of the bike there where the Toyota tried to enter it against its will.
It's a good thing he had all those guards.
It's a good thing he had. It's a good thing he had a motor over there. Otherwise, it might have actually hurt him. His motor is gefuckered. If you said, point on the doll where the man touched you to do the most possible damage, that is where you would hit.
Yeah.
If you could take a sledgehammer and hit a Stella anywhere to make it unrideable, that's the money shot.
So did it fuck up the carb sideways and the?
Oh, it's bad. The funny thing is the electric start still works. But what happens when you press the button is
Nothing
Dante's
moves.
9th level of hell.
Yeah.
The noises, I was like, okay, that's a crank. I can hear the
I
crank.
say, did it push the crank in?
Oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, this motor is broken. And I mean, the motor is actually broken. The cases are broken.
I'm sure.
So the engine cases are actually broken. The device that's going up at a 45-degree angle, like a little baby tiny rocket launcher, is the Kickstarter that used to be at a horizontal.
Yeah.
And I was just happy there wasn't blood all over it. But the hilarious thing was I pulled it out of the back area and brought it forward and the whole deal. And I was like, well, I got to try. I mean, I'm not going to break it more. So I turned the key, put it in neutral, pulled the clutch in, hit the button, and it went, R, clank. And then every time it made a rotation, it made a louder clank. And it was just like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. It was like a clown with one metal leg. It just made this noise that was like, squeak, clank, squeak, clank, squeak, clank. And I made it make that noise until the battery was dead because it just made me so happy to hear it.
Like, was it a broken rod slapping into something, or like what?
No, the crank is no longer a one-piece unit.
Oh.
Yeah.
The flywheel's going to be shot.
It's the flywheel. So I'm absolutely certain that the flywheel has been shattered on the lay shaft on the crank. So when you engage the electric starter, which spins the gear on the flywheel, it makes a half a turn, grabs the crank,
And then
tries to turn the crank. But I did peer underneath it, and the actual cases to the motor are broken.
Wow.
So the motor block, if you will, is broken.
Little JB Weld.
Exactly. So this is something that happened while I wasn't, not this accident. This accident happened when he was on his way to work. Of course it did. But what happened while I wasn't paying attention is that Stella's, which had the sheer audacity to stop being two-strokes in 2004, Stella's became impossible to get parts for because the company that built them, LML, decided to not exist anymore. So it turns out as much fun as we had getting parts for Bajaj scooters is now Stella's. So it was funny because to us around here, Stella's are like a commodity. It's like a beaver belt. Like we know, like, oh, that's worth 3 Stellas, right?
You can go to Scooter Works and order anything you want.
Anything you needed because they imported them to America under the fine watchful eye of Phil McCaleb. Well, he's not there anymore. And he gave not a fuck, but he gave a pile of fucks. And Stella was his baby, and he took care to make sure there were parts for it. But he's not there anymore. And the people that are in charge of the ship now feel like Stella is kind of like herpes they had in the 80s. They just don't want to admit it was ever really there, even though it's going to be with them for the rest of their lives. So you can't get Stella parts from just about anywhere, including India. So it's a kind of a hard bike to source parts from traditionally.
Can you swap like a Bajaj motor?
No. So you can swap if you're weird enough. So let's talk about the things that fit in a Stella. Okay?
5X.
What's that?
A P1.
Virtually any P series or TS or Rally or even old narrow frame Vespa motors. If you're freaky enough, you can put a 1980 Bajaj motor in a Stella, and then you've got like the best thing. What do they call that? Bollywood? Yeah, because you've got a Bajaj motor in a Stella frame. You can't beat that. That is it. That's the height of Indian anti-technology. But like you could also put a Rally 200 motor in a Stella, and that would be literally
It's a large frame.
yeah, like that. That's like an atheist with a giant Jesus tattoo. Like you can't get any weirder than that. That's Jews for Jesus is what
You
that
mean
is.
Roger Stone.
Honestly, yes, yes,
Roger Stone.
exactly, Roger Stone. But many things will fit in a Stella because for years we've been putting Stella things into other things. Like if you had some kick-ass old GS but didn't have a motor, I got a crate that says LML on the side that says you're going 60 miles an hour. Right? And we were doing that shit fast and furious as hard as we could. The checks wouldn't clear and these crates would show up with LML motors in them. Well, now that game is over, my friend. And Stellas, it turns out, are becoming a bit of a challenge. So if you want to own one, you got to pay your dues.
This is going to sound stupid, but so the 4-stroke motors don't fit into the 2-stroke frame?
No. I mean, the early 4-stroke motors do, but they're a disaster anyway.
Okay.
And then the 4-stroke automatic, you don't even, we're not talking about that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And honestly, if you put a 4-stroke in a 2-stroke, like if you had a 2-stroke and you put a 4-stroke in it, I don't like you anymore.
No, I get it,
We
but
can't
I'm saying
be friends.
if you can't find any, and you have this thing and you just want to ride it.
No, I would sooner murder a P125X. like to get the motor out of a P125X and put a kit on it.
Well, and I would think any 2-stroke Vespa engine would be easier to find than a 4-stroke.
So when LML was in its death throes, when LML was like bribing people to come to work, when LML was like had guards outside and somebody tried to leave the factory and they hit him in the head with a stick and sent him back in to build more motors for Genuine. When that was happening, they were building the 4-stroke motors. And so that is like the equivalent of taking out the California Condor and installing a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Like, because you're going to get California Condor parts earlier than easier than you can get Tyrannosaurus Rex parts. Right. And that's what it is. So yeah, those 4-stroke motors, not only do they suck, but they're going to be hard to get parts for. Whereas the 2-stroke motors, look, there's plenty of rotted out, because Vespas were made out of metal that water pooled up on it, and a lot of hillbillies have rotted out Vespas. Right. No problem.
You can find the case, though.
Yeah, but a motor kind of was hidden by the shit that rusted out.
Right.
So I've taken some decent motors out of some rusty Hulks. But so Joe Howard, we love you and all, but that bike's toast, man. Like, if you want me to talk to your insurance agent, you would not believe my back alley skills. Like, we're gonna work on that. We're going to take care of you, my friend.
I mean, the dude has about $490 worth of mirrors on it.
Just alone. In mirrors. Right. And you know what's hilarious is after I picked the bike up, I was like, okay, let's take an inventory and see how many of these mirrors we can salvage.
Yeah.
No.
None.
Yeah. We'll take a look at it later on. When you see how much damage was done to this bike, the mirrors did give it a nice soft exterior to protect most of the interior of the bike.
Well, you know what's weird about damaged motorcycles is perspective. So, like, when Mike got hit, right? He was in the hospital. And so a bunch of the dudes that are on
Mike didn't get hit. Mike got blown the fuck up.
Yeah, he got murdered. Like, he got hit.
Yeah.
But so like a lot of the guys at Adventure Rider that are in the Northeast Ohio thing, we're all like, hey, you know what? It's at the salvage yard. They're going to get rid of it.
Let's go strip it for parts,
man. Well, that's the thing, because they weren't going to give them any money for the accessories. So we went down to strip. When we first got there, same thing. You're like, man, that bike doesn't look that bad at all. What the hell? You know? It's got a couple of dents and scratches, but then you stood behind it.
We'll wipe the blood off the seat. It'll be fine. Yeah.
But you stand behind it, and the bike was a C.
Exactly.
Like
that's what this
whole bike was a C, you know, and you're like,
the front of this bike is listing to port, the back of it's listing to starboard.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. In the middle of it is where Joe was. Right. So, like, that's what happens to bikes in crashes. And we know because we get them all.
Yeah.
Like, they all come here first. And it is funny that, we have to go to a salvage yard, pay money to the tow truck operator in the salvage yard to get the bike back, just to get it here. And tell the insurance company it's just as fucked as we said it probably was going to be over the telephone.
Right.
And then they're going to come out and they're going to look at this bike and they're going to go, okay, well, Kelly Blue Book on this bike is $901. And meanwhile, Joe's got $3,000 worth of accessories on there. You know?
But you know what? I think some insurance companies are getting better. When my wife destroyed my Pontiac Vibe, blew it up, right?
Yeah.
So the insurance guy was like, can you get to the car? I'm like, yeah. He's like, go take pictures, send them to me.
Yeah.
And then don't pay to get it out.
Oh.
So I sent him
that's really nice.
30 pictures of all the angles, inside, outside, wherever.
Artistic.
Yeah.
Through a window, super one lens.
When he saw it, he was like, that car is total. You're good. Just leave it. They can fucking have it.
Oh, shit.
That was it.
Now that's a legit. Yeah, okay. That almost never happens around here.
Tell Sparky I didn't pee in the slop sink.
I've been watching it. Apparently, we got a phantom pisser in our shop. So, So, Sparky, our mechanic, comes in and tells Renee he went into the utility room here, our little utility closet, and he says that the utility sink smelled of pee.
I think it was Renee.
Now, you know, my brain just made a visual of that. And she was perched up on the edge of the slop sink like a gargoyle.
Like her bird.
Like a bird. You can teach a cat to pee in your toilet, so she was just standing up.
No, look, I'm not saying I couldn't teach Renee how to do it. I'm just saying I want to catch her in the act. It'd be pretty funny. Not for nothing. So I did go in, and a couple of times in the day I went and spot checked the slop sink. I think what happened is somebody used a rag to clean a bike up with, and just left it in there hanging on the slop sink, and it's like ammonia smells or chemical smells. So I was like, I don't think somebody's actually pissing in there, but because I'm an idiot and I work here my whole life and this is my house and my family and stuff, and she's like, she goes, is anybody peeing in the sink in the utility closet? And I was like, are we supposed to? Because I never know if we got a toilet that's down.
Even if I did, I would at least rinse it down. I mean, I wouldn't just pee in it and walk away.
I think we have an admission.
Well, you even admitted to peeing in your sink at home every once in a while.
Shit, every place in the plant's a pee hole.
It is kind of like, if you're not just peeing random places,
work,
why do you even have a dick?
When I'm at work, I like to pull my pants all the way down to my ankles when I pee, too.
Why stop there?
I'm going to take my
John's one of the guys that has to take his pants off to poop.
I was going to say, I will remove my trousers and my boxer shorts. I will fold them up and place them on the back of the commode.
Okay, so no, you have to listen to this story about what John's convinced the youngest member of our crew to do.
Oh boy, I'm dying to hear this. I'm dying to hear this.
So, explain to them what the lagoon is.
Okay, so that's where we pump all our excess sludge.
What is sludge?
Wait a second. Excess sludge means you have, at some point, enough sludge. And how do you know when you have enough sludge? And how do you know which is the excess?
I can tell by the way the bubbles crack in the tank and the way it sounds.
Wow.
It talks to him. It's
Too much tech talk.
That's why they could never fire him.
Honda
They could
Whisperer?
Never.
Poop whisperer.
The poop listener. He's the poop listener.
I love those rotifers.
Tech talk.
So, you have the lagoon. This is where all year long solids have been pumped out to
Okay.
for them to be stored for when in the springtime we will do Steve's favorite thing, which is to make cake. Which is basically we're taking solids being
De-water.
poop that is now, been sitting in the lagoon for a long time, thickening.
Oh my God.
So it's at a point now where the lagoon is full. So normally there's water with solid on top. Well, now it's like there's no water even on top. Now it's just like there's a whole half of the lagoon,
It's like chocolate pudding.
which is like chocolate pudding. The boy,
The boy.
24-year-old Jake, who took a ride on the SSR, Steve's SSR today. He's like, this thing is cool. I want one of these.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
And then out of the blue says, I bet I could make it across the lagoon on that thing.
Oh my god!
What the hell?
So what I said is,
I'll bet you can.
I bet you can. In fact,
And then he took his
I'll
shirt
give you
off too soon.
$100. I'll give you $100 just for trying. No, wait a second. He's like, I'll do it naked. I'll give you $200 just for trying. You could go get my bike.
Hold
right
on,
now.
I gotta go buy more video cameras.
I was gonna say.
That's the only thing is I got to be able to call my friend Cinch. He's got to get his cameras
Yes.
and everything out of here.
I will bring everything. I will rent things. I will have 100 camera angles just for that.
But
So
we're
when
going
are
to
we-
have to tie a rope on your angle to pull you out of shit.
So this is for this Sunday?
I don't know.
Sunday.
He's not back
Every
in back.
podcast listener's
He's
gonna be like, I
operating
need
this
2
week.
tickets to
I
Cleveland.
feel
This
like
has to happen this
he's
Sunday.
ready to go for it. If guys,
He
if
would
guys
do it
showed
too.
up-
I think he would do
If
it.
we all threw in $100, it'd be done.
So, okay.
I offered him 200.
I
He
have
was like,
some questions.
"Look, I'll do it.
Like, no shit. I have some questions. Okay. First question. How deep is the lagoon?
About
Well,
Define depth.
12 to 14 feet in the middle.
Oh my God.
But it's not, it's tapered, so it's tapered down like this.
right,
so.
but that's right now. But half of that lagoon, there's no water sitting on top of it.
I understand.
No, he's gonna get like into it. It's gonna sink, and it's gonna dig in, and he's gonna face plant.
He sees himself skipping across
Skimming
it.
across
Hydroplane.
the top
Hydroplane
of
the
it.
whole thing right.
That's not
He's
gonna
going to hit it as fast as he can in fourth gear.
Like a poop-smelling Travis Pastrana.
He's going to be doing a wheelie across it.
This is the worst,
We used
best
to-
idea ever.
They used to throw cows in the manure like that to digest them when they died.
Forget how you're getting him out. How are you getting the bike?
Yeah, what
Right, right.
No, we're
Yeah,
tying
the
a rope
bike.
to the bike
Tie a
and
rope
to
to
him.
him, and then tie that same rope to the bike, and pull them out.
Yeah, tie a bungee cord to the bike so it can pull itself back, and then you can just fling over the handlebars.
My
I don't know.
We're gonna make.
We also thought about the remote kill switch, like right when
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I mean, honestly, look, the worst thing you can do in this situation is sabotage him. Because this
I don't
needs
think
to
you have
be
to do that.
He's gonna do it by
No, he's
himself.
gonna be sabotaged.
just like the bike build off. It's better to let people fail naturally. And then it's funnier. because it's more painful if everything is in his favor. I would even build him an approach ramp.
Dude, I'll take it.
I offered him anything he wanted. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want to do?
Honestly,
what are you thinking about this?
I think you
you
need a
can make it.
jetpack.
I believe in you.
I will take it.
That's my favorite McElfresh line ever is, I believe in you.
So one of the other guys comes back, Mike, and Mike walks into the lunchroom and he says, You better get in there right now. He said, John's convinced Jake to take the SSR across the lagoon.
And that would be the funny thing is to go back in and be like, I'm sorry, dude. When I told, you know what, when we talked about this earlier, do you remember how I was telling you that you could probably just carry third gear? I'm going to take that back. Back up an extra 40 or 50 yards. Let's do fourth gear.
He's got to start at the street.
Yeah, start
top
at
of the street,
Start at
all the way down.
It needs to be maximum
No, but the
velocity.
problem is,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
if
what I think.
if it was flat, you might have a chance to go a little bit, right?
Make it irresistible.
But it's tapered down like this, so he's going to come in like this. He's just going to launch and go
Straight in.
right into the.
Dude, I'm not kidding you.
the muck.
I think it's hilarious that a poop-related item is tapered.
And I'll take a vacation day. I don't care. I will if it happens at 5 in the morning. I'll be there. Whatever time.
Yeah.
What the shit?
Just as long as it's not the black SSR.
Anybody else? I told him about my bike. I don't care if I have to tear my bike completely apart.
I get
clean
it.
all the shit out of it, put it back together.
The shit out of it.
I get it. I mean, look. Oh man. Why the? Like, I mean, he's got to be pulling your leg.
I don't know.
I hope
no,
he's pulling your leg.
these kids. I tell you, I was telling these guys before the podcast. I had a reflecting pond. Like one of the tanks was empty at one of my other plants. And
Wait. Hold on, stop. You had a reflecting pond at the wastewater treatment facility.
Right.
So you could get a reflection of the Washington Monument? You built a Washington
It
Monument
was the
out of other people's
digesters.
poo.
It reflected the digesters into the thing, but I had,
that's romantic.
I had a koi. I had like 2-foot koi in there and snakes and turtles and all this other stuff. It was really cool because it was an abandoned tank and it was just sitting there.
And
So,
Blinky the three-eyed fish.
so
We had a crocagator. We had all kinds of cool shit.
You're pumping air into it. It's just water. You might have fish in there.
Okay, fair enough.
yeah, I had bluegill. It was really kind of cool.
Every once in a while, throw a little waste in there that they can feed off of.
Did you know that fish eggs,
Tilapia and nutria, all you want. Yeah.
fish eggs can survive through a duck? So like it can be eaten by a duck and then exit.
I
the
drank
duck,
coffee that
It's
was.
still-
I drank
it's still
coffee that was
hatched.
processed by a monkey.
Which is how a isolated pond can be completely stocked with fish
Because the ducks bring it in.
exactly.
Oh,
I want
that's
to sell
awesome.
corn that's been through humans. We get plenty of it at the plant. Every time I
Instead of calling it popcorn, you call it poop corn? I think there's a market there.
Oh my god.
we take all the corn and then we make a mash. We mash in on it, and we have a whiskey that's made out of.
Boo boo bourbon.
I'm never drinking any of
Boom,
this
boom,
kind of
bourbon.
liquor
Butt
ever.
shine.
I stopped shaking his hand 2 weeks ago.
Start making butt shine.
Yeah. Come on, for fuck's sake, man. Oh, Jesus. I mean, look, there's a point.
Corn floats well.
Oh, you were talking about the pond.
Yeah, so the point is that I had this reflecting pond at the plant.
Yeah.
And so we would just sit out there and just, because the fish were kind of cool and they were all different colored koi and whatever.
Yeah.
So one day we were just standing there looking at it, and all of a sudden this huge shadow I see out of the corner of my eye. I turn around, the summer help kid runs off the digester building, leaps into the air, and does a header right into the tank.
Oh, really? What the fuck?
He goes right into this freaking tank. I mean, and it scared the shit out of me because I thought it was like some huge, pterodactyl coming down to eat me. So he climbs out of the tank.
There's nothing weirder than a human being diving into anything at the wastewater treatment facility.
So he gets out, I'm like, what?
Nick did that.
What the hell are you doing? And he says, oh, yeah, Brett bet me $5 to jump off the building and jump into this tank. So he jumped off the building into this tank for $5.
And what did he have to miss?
How deep?
And then the scariest part was that, the direction he came from to jump off the building,
Right.
there's a pipe sticking into the tank like 2 feet long. So he had to clear the sidewalk, he had to clear the steps to the building, he had to clear the railing, and then he had to clear this 2-foot pipe. So he had to hit it right in the middle, or he would have his nuts would have been in his throat.
How deep was the whole thing?
That's another like 10-foot, 12-foot deep tank. So
Nick jumped into the final tank.
Not me.
The place that he worked.
Right. Thank you.
Not
they
me.
paid him money. But I kind of like the final tanks. They have the big thing, the arm that rotates.
Oh, yeah.
And I could see me on like a little pool.
the finals wouldn't be so bad.
Arms rotating around. All that.
Dude, I can
So wait a second. If Mid Ohio doesn't happen, all I'm seeing right now is Mini Ohio happening in Oberlin, and we're gonna have most extreme challenge.
Yeah.
Most extreme challenge at the Poo Factory.
Laguna Seca.
And apparently, Mid Oberlin has a lazy river.
Right.
It's
Lazy river. It's the laziest
There are a
river.
bunch of inner tubes on there.
You just have to have a little personal
you can invite
skimmer.
the college kids. Like you go to the sorority, come play. And all these chicks will be out there. In the
It's
final
organic.
tanks. They don't know what it is.
The Quality River with
This isn't
armpit
the
hair.
wastewater treatment. This is the water treatment. That's
It's a mud bath. It's a mud bath. Put it on your face.
Oh,
It'll
God.
clean you up.
I said that today. We had the digested sludge in the South Aerobic. It's just black bubbling oil. I'm like, we could open a fucking spa. We heat this shit up to about 90 degrees. Have women like just dip them in.
Yeah, but you'd get out and you'd be black as tar. It doesn't
And they
come.
might-
You
they
can't
might
wash it
wonder
off
when
your
it's
hands.
Like that's your biggest fucking problem.
I know.
No, you can't get it. If it touches you, your skin turns black.
This
And
is
you're
why
going to
this
have
is why the
botulism,
FDA exists.
sepsis, herpetitis, and 96 other diseases.
No, it's been
All
digested.
that's done.
It's pretty.
Oh, that's done.
You can eat it. It's fine. It's
great.
It's Marmite.
It's only. It's got less than 1 million parts of colonies of E. coli in it.
Less than 1 million.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Steve doesn't get infections when like he
That
gets
video
cut.
you made of two guys in a cup?
Yeah.
I mean,
When Steve gets a cup, all the little like microbes just die.
They just die. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Oh my God, that's awful. That is fucking horrible.
it really could happen, though. I don't really think it would take much. But,
So
I'm
at
not
2
sure I
hours
want
in,
to.
the Clevelandmoto Poo Fest.
My God, this is the shittiest podcast ever.
This is the
Literally.
shittiest
Yeah,
podcast.
this is awful. Oh, so I gotta get Chris's Janus.
Yep.
So Chris has got to get his anus out of my front window,
Right.
because I'm going to tell you,
It's stopping traffic. I heard.
one of his friends came in. So his buddy comes in with like a Land Rover shirt on or whatever, and whatever. It's just an old white man, and so you know that here old white men are like my
time
currency.
suckers. They're like succubus time suckers.
Oh my God, man! Like we're not even joking. So, so we make the mistake of opening the door for people that were hanging around outside, and Renee was like, "Well, I vetted them, and they passed the test. So, Phil, go outside and let him in, and we'll talk for a minute. We'll give him a couple of minutes. We got like 10 minutes till the next appointment gets here." So I'm like, "Okay, great." So I pop out. "Hey guys, if you want to know more about the TNT 135 or something, come on in." So I let these two young fellas come in, and they come in, and this little old man, this like elf hobbit guy, he like zigs in. And he got in their vapor trail. I didn't see him. And he just kind of snuck in. And he had his little like camera bag, fanny pack thing on and whatever. And so he comes in and I was like, shit, one got in. All right. Well, that happens. It happens like 4 times a day.
Step on it.
You don't get them. You got to have on your weasel stomping boots, right? And so he got in, and so he sneaks in, and I'm like, he seems harmless enough. I'll leave him alone. So I talked to the kids about the motorcycles. They're young fellas, and they just want their first bike and stuff, and it's a good educational experience. And so the old man, he goes, "Is that a Janus?" And I said, "We say Janus around here." Yeah. And he goes,
Or
"Oh."
J anus.
Yeah, and he's like, all right. And he says, yeah. He goes, I've been following. I've been checking those out. I've been looking into those. I said, well, my buddy got that, and he rode that all the way back from Indiana like a son of a bitch. Like that's hardcore. Yeah. And I said, it's only in the window for winter storage, but here it is. And he's like, wow. I said, yeah, it's a guy that, and he goes, is that a Chris Smith's bike?
Oh no.
Wow.
And I said, it most certainly is.
I'm in the sausage club with him. I like charcuterie.
I like shark husbandry too. He's straight up. He was just like, he goes, I know Chris.
I've had Chris's meat in my mouth
Many times. Yeah, that's what we do. We all get together, hang our meat out. And he said, but he didn't say he did not mention he was in the charcuterie club, but he definitely knew who you were because he brought your name up, not the other way around. And I was like, wow, that's great. And he's like, yeah, and I was like, well, and he goes, well, he used to have that Royal Enfield. And I said, yeah, he did. And he goes, it was the same color. And I was like, yeah, Chris likes the old military looking bikes. And he's like, all right. And I was like, you can leave now.
No, you should look at the other side of this bike.
If you walk outside, you can see the other side. Let me show you something really cool. Click. That's it. Yeah, you're right, Steve. Why don't we do that? That'd be great.
I read a thing. It was like.
Speaking of Christmas, do we have any jokes tonight?
Well, hold on, before you get to it. What is charcuterie?
You better come up with it.
It's a $60 Lunchable.
Guilty as charged. I have done that many times. Yeah, would you guys like anything? No, I'll just have the charcuterie board. And they bring it out, and I'm like, I know that from Aldi. You can't look. That's Aldi prosciutto. Yeah, I know exactly where that prosciutto came from.
39 cents a thing.
Yeah. I know that salami anywhere. That's Aldi. That's Batavia. I know right where that came from.
Right next to it is the summer sausage. That's like this big for $3.
Yes.
I don't buy it, but I see it.
But I know what it is. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Chris, you have a joke?
I don't have a joke.
You don't have a joke?
I don't have a joke.
You had one on the.
This is the main thing you bring to the podcast.
I forgot. What was it?
Get your fucking phone
You
out.
responded to that guy. He said he needed a Chris Smith joke on YouTube, and you dropped one. What did you say? Something like his mom or something?
It's hard to keep track of them.
I'll find it.
The jokes of their mom.
Somebody get Chris Smith a joke.
Yeah. Let's start sending them in.
Oh, there you go. Now we're harvesting jokes too.
Well, let's see what's out there. I don't know.
Right. That's exactly
We're not on Twitch. We can't get the live.
Yeah,
we got it. That's the next. I need more tech.
Do we have any
more tech? Let's make this fucking harder. Yeah. Honestly, Sleepy has showed up, and in the time Sleepy has showed up, we've gone from literally a disposable close and play microphone based recording contraption, the Boy Scout. We've gone to that, which literally you can smuggle into prison. Like our old audio system could be smuggled into jail.
The keister mic.
In your keister, exactly. And now we have got a board with a backup board. We now have audio monitors, preamps. Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
Oh my God. We got vandalins and mandolins and things that sometimes hum, as Tom Petty would say. Right.
So a weasel walks into a bar.
Oh, here we go.
Shit.
Weasel walks into a bar, and the bartender looks at him and goes, Jesus Christ, I've served everything in the world. I've never served a weasel. What would you like? Pop, goes the weasel. That one sucked, I know.
But
Pop goes the rhyming of the weasel. You see the empty pocket needs a refill. I got a squad with a list of complainants. Boy. I should have started rap. There was against phony entertainers.
And we now have a remix contest. Anybody that can take that and put a beat to it, please send it in to
Yep. That's third base.
So there was a little bit of
You have to be this old to know third base.
The gas face.
The gas face. Yeah.
There was SSR riding last weekend too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A little bit of that. The belated Oscar. I'm like Oscar showed up. Everybody was.
I like how Oscar shows up and rides my bike. Oscar shows up, picks the lock to our fucking container because he's Oscar.
Yeah.
I like that. He walked up to the container and was like, "You just heard bum bum." Did
you actually pick the lock?
Oh yeah. My favorite part was a week before. It was 37 degrees all day. We had no fire.
No.
Last week it was 74 degrees and we had a giant.
We had the best fire ever. Yeah, we had a great fire last weekend.
What about the water hazard? I want to hear about the water hazard.
Oh, fuck turn 4.
Yeah, we didn't use turn 4.
We didn't use turn 4. Turn 4 was closed. I went through one time.
Closed.
That's the one thing that threw me off because when I got there and I got your bike out, I went through the whole thing. It was like, I only see 2 tracks going through turn 4.
No,
and I was
'cause
like,
I made one of them.
fuck it. So I just went. So all the holes are actually mine from actually doing a bunch of loops on the mud. I was like, fuck it. It's all
It's
good.
dry now.
But we got some good berms started. So like the one on turn 1 is a good
Turn
berm.
1 is turned
But
into
now,
a
if
masterpiece.
you want to go the long way to your front by your neighbor's house, which I'm sure they're not stoked about,
Right.
underneath the pine trees, it's soft, and we're gonna have a nice big fat berm for like the extended fucking loop that you have to go around and back through.
And for anybody who wants to know more, Steve has been posting these up on our Clevelandmoto YouTube page. And these videos are way better than we deserve. But it's so much fun. And the action
They'll get
shots.
better when we have younger people to like borrow the bikes and do some more. So
there's going to be like an 18-year-old or 12-year-old coming through with your jacket on and your hat on.
yeah,
stunt people?
Much faster kid.
I need a double for sure.
But so we talked about doing some really cool stuff, and I don't think people really realize. So we in our brain we thought about a tabletop, maybe a double.
Maybe a double.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a tabletop on top of the 1 foot jump, like an actual tabletop, so that we can clear the tabletop.
That jump is the shit. That's
I know.
That's really
But
good.
then what about a double? What's a double? You
I
got
don't wanna
2
think
shot
about a
glasses
double.
on another
shot
little tiny.
It is funny when you do our jump.
Yeah.
The not a jump. When you do not a jump, one, going up to it, you're like, seriously, going up to that is like walking up to the firework you threw in the fire that hasn't gone off yet.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, okay. So you're on your bike and you're like, you gun it and you come out of turn 1 and you're like, I'm going to hit the jump.
I'm gonna send it.
You're going to send it. And you're like, whoop, second gear, whoop. And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't know, dude. Because your front suspension disappears.
Yeah.
So your front suspension just disappears on the launch ramp.
Right.
And then you hit it, you get the flat spot and you're like, okay, make it look cool.
Yep.
And you put your weight back and you give it a little gas and she just lands beautiful. Like,
Well, and the
like,
thing is
just
like,
floats through the air.
You feel, that's why I put it in the video. You
Yeah.
feel like you're fucking
6 feet.
6 feet in
feet.
the air, but you're literally, your back tire is like 2 inches and you just float down that thing. Like,
I was shocked. I looked at that video and I watched that video. I told my wife, I was like, honey, check this jump out. It's so much fun. And she was like, when's the jump coming? And I was like, that was the jump. And she's like, that wasn't a jump. And I was like, no, seriously, it's a jump.
Your front wheel leaves the ground, but your back wheel just kind of
Literally. It is.
I got some video, and there was a couple times when Steve went off it.
Yeah.
And there, both wheels were off the ground,
off the ground.
for a moment.
For a moment.
that back tire was a good,
Yeah.
like, 2
There
inches.
was air.
You caught it at least 3 inches of air.
Irish foot.
Yeah.
Just an Irish
It was
foot.
an Irish foot.
You could put a piece of paper between the ground and the back with no
But
problem.
meanwhile, it feels so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, no, I mean, I watched him lose it
Yeah.
on a landing.
Oh, yeah.
He went right into a rose bush.
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
No,
We
it
get
was
rid of
crazy.
those.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go
And
with
the
our
barbed wire.
flamethrowers. Yeah.
We got to get rid of the barbed wire over there, too.
Yeah, the flamethrowers were
I didn't know
insane.
there was
branches
barbed
as
wire.
well because
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a helmet. I was
Yeah.
fucking hitting that fucking. It was like nope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, you broke in, but you didn't notice the
You didn't
75
notice a pile of
to the
helmets
left?
there? So when you broke into the trailer, when you broke into the container, to your immediate left on a container was a pile of 8 brand new helmets.
Oh, no,
in
no.
every size.
I just wanted to get to the bike.
But
Criminals
by
are
this point,
idiots.
Proven.
we made it so much safer for you,
Right.
though. Me and Phil. Phil was like,
Yeah.
fucking sawing shit and doing stuff. I moved like 8 fucking
Yeah.
giant
Oh, so it
cinder
was
blocks.
worse.
Oh,
we
it's
made
way
it.
better.
Oh, so it was worse.
No, it was way better.
We have now the Tunnel of Love, and we have the Happy Glades.
Yeah.
So
the
you-
tunnel's the shell on the way back.
Yeah.
That's so.
But you
tunnel
can go,
is
but
great,
don't
yeah.
you, but see, you can take
Yeah.
to the right.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like 3 feet wide.
Right.
But then Phil went and cleared out
Yeah.
the 1
Yeah,
foot
that's a
fucking
big
wide.
one. Yeah.
And
We're
it's
like-
good, and it's
At the end, when you're at full tilt,
Yeah.
your handlebars are like 3 inches
Yeah,
from trees.
it's- right.
It's
Yes,
fucking
it
good,
is.
man.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that tunnel is
Yeah.
like the trench run in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Where you're like, if you're too hot, like if we're chasing each other and you're
Yeah.
behind me, I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
sooner or later he's gonna clip a tree.
And I did the first time we did it.
Well,
I,
if
I
you
ate
clip
a tree hard.
if you clip a tree, you hold
You're
just die.
fucked.
Yeah.
You just die.
I got home and I completely forgot about it because, beer and whatever. And so, like, later on that night, I was like, the fuck did I do to my hand? It was like the whole fucking part of my hand was
Yeah.
black. I'm like,
I am going to say that underpowered, undersized dirt bikes
Best.
are my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't call them underpowered. Undersized,
yeah.
maybe, but
Well, we did 10
I want to go back in time 20 years and have sex with only midgets now. Because I'm pretty sure I've tapped into the secret of the universe.
Oh my God. How much are 10-foot drags? How fun were those?
The 10-foot drags, which
yeah.
honestly are 70-foot drags.
Yeah.
But the
Oh,
hilarious thing
those.
is,
Okay.
every time Steve would go, Steve would get the left lane.
Yeah.
So the left lane had an exit line. The middle lane and the right lane had a boat. So me and Nick would go hell bent for leather, but then we'd have to shut down, otherwise we'd become part of a boat. And like the boat was straight up like it was panic stop.
Yeah.
And every time I would launch, I'd be carrying a nice power transfer wheelie and just like, oh, I love that bike. I love that bike so much it's ridiculous. And so I launched this thing as hard as I could every single time. And I look over it because Nick weighs 100 pounds less than I do.
Yeah, easy.
And so I look over and Nick is like right there looking at me going like, ha! You know, and I can just see the joy on his face. And meanwhile, I'm just trying to get second gear before my wheel hits the ground.
Right.
Well, then it's like boat.
Yeah.
So if you try to win, you lose. And meanwhile, whoever's got the inside line can race it all the way through.
Yeah.
But some of the wheelies that Steve pulled,
That was
and it's like,
this is Steve. Steve's on the line.
yeah.
Ring, 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 ring.
the video.
12 o'clock.
Bail out.
Stays on it. And the wheel comes down, doesn't shift.
No,
just
doesn't
holds
shift.
first gear.
Testing the motor.
Honestly, I have like my whole life. I've always said wheelies are sexy, and then I saw yours. That's it. That's it. That was the sloppiest wheelie.
It was not good.
Every single launch that you managed to do that on.
Cowboy.
I was like just spurs in the air. You know, if you're lucky, you'll ride it the whole 8 seconds. You know,
How does this Sunday look like?
ain't no problem for me.
I think it's gonna rain like a mother. 60-mile-an-hour winds
It's
tomorrow.
going to be mushy there. I can tell you, we're supposed to get 2 inches in Oberlin. So.
That's called making berms.
That's what I was gonna say. Turn one's looking really good.
Get the ground crew after that.
Well, if I get that, once I get that tractor going, I'm gonna dig a trench
Yeah.
from
Right.
turn 1 back
Yeah.
to that manhole.
Yep.
And I'll put a French drain in.
Yeah.
Then it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Got some government work to do tomorrow.
There you go. But not joking. The fact that I was out there 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
So my 3-week schedule was week 1 I was at Holiday Valley snowboarding and skiing.
Yep.
So I did that 2 weeks in a row, and then I did dirt bikes,
2 weeks.
and then I did dirt bikes again.
Yeah.
I'm actually the most physically fit that I have been in many, many years, except for 4 inches around my asshole.
But if people,
And 4 inches around my asshole is like way too pretty for your first month of jail.
oh, it's definitely.
I'm going to say what's happened to my back door.
Oh my God.
My 5th point of contact has become violated hard by that bike.
the seat is not good.
The seat is a nightmare. And first of all, the seat's way too far forward because it's built for children.
Right.
Meanwhile, where my butt lands on the ramp, the not a jump, where my butt lands is right where the metal reinforcement is for the whole bike. And there is there's not even a whiff or thin mint of suspension or softness on that metal. There is an 1/8 of an inch of Chinese plastic and then the metal frame.
I don't think I'm even hitting the seat. I'm sitting on the back fender.
I watched him land, and I saw the fender go into his butt.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's no doubt. It's like his butt ate the back of the motorcycle.
Well, no, my butt did eat the seat.
Yeah.
There's pieces of
No,
seat
his
missing.
seat is literally it's worn out.
Yeah.
Did you find it when you wiped?
There's the seat.
The black vinyl comes
My
out.
rear fender.
There's so much shit up there. It's hard to fucking
It's hard to
figure
find.
out.
But it is true.
But that being said, if you don't think that that's a fucking workout,
Right.
2 days later on Tuesday, I was trying to use a mouse and my hands. Arm pump was ridiculous.
Look, man. Little tiny motorcycles and middle-aged men. Yeah. It is like, wow.
And cinder blocks.
And cinder blocks.
Cinder blocks. Yeah.
Oh, I will say, carrying those cinder blocks out of the way, like those cinder blocks were not fucking around. And also doing the animal husbandry and forestry I was doing all day. By the end of it all, I totally destroyed Dan's chainsaw.
Right.
He gave me a chainsaw that had a legit good blade on it. And now it's a piece of rope.
I bought that chainsaw 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It had never been sharpened before.
Well, guess what?
It's going
I gotta buy three chains because now it has become literally a backhoe. Like it's become a combine. The chainsaw does everything you'll ever need to do on a farm. It harvests the wheat. It shucks the wheat. It throws the wheat. It's a chainsaw.
But it can't cut butter.
No. Right now it can't cut cheese. That chainsaw's dull. But it's like it's bad. So I gotta buy some chains for it.
What it takes to dull a chain. Like as soon as you touch a rock, that's it.
Or the ground.
That's it. Or
Oh no! I was digging those roots out from the tunnel, and I was digging the roots out, and I was like, "Oh well, hate to do it. I already cut all the big wood. I'm going to cut some shit now that's going to ruin this chain."
Right.
And I was like subterranean. Like I at one point I saw Elon Musk, and I was like, "Whoa, went way too far."
Tunnel.
Yeah, and so, but yeah. Anywho,
We were filming and I asked John, I'm like, so is this going to get us in shape? He was like, no, it's going to get us hurt.
I'm going to buy a couple of loaves of bread at Aldi on the way there next time and just sit on them.
That's a good idea.
I figure for 89 cents,
Okay.
get a loaf of bread from Aldi, and then at lunchtime we'll have sandwiches.
I'm going to throw a chuck roast on mine.
Perfect.
I've got a solution that I'm going to try next time, and it's that I've got a spare Vespa Grande moped seat, which is a perfect rectangular prism.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm going to sit it on top of the original seat with some ratchet straps or something.
I was just going to put you on my seat.
Well,
on a slow boat from China.
Yeah, you ordered one. Right. And it's coming through,
I thought it was a domestic, but I guess it's
No.
is it like a legit seat that's supposed to fit this
Phil,
bike?
can you
supposed to
get
fit an SSR.
can you get
I looked at
it?
it closely. It
How much
looks
would it
like
cost
it
for
should be
replacement seats so
I
we can
have
just
no
use the
idea.
pants
I
and
might
make
get
our
it.
I have
own?
no
Make
idea.
that seat this big.
So here's the reason.
That's the risk.
So with SSR, here's the secret, you guys. If you have, if you're out in podcast land and you have an SSR motorcycle, or you'd like to have an SSR motorcycle, if you need parts for your SSR motorcycle, don't call the dealer.
Oh, just call SSR?
Just go on Amazon.
Oh, yeah, okay.
everything you could ever want.
Exactly. Because it takes me longer to place the order than it would take you to get it through Amazon. Legit, as wonderful as SSR is, their parts ordering system is not cutting edge. And it is that kind of thing. Like, that's where you've heard me say many times, sometimes the dealership can get in the way.
Right.
And this is one of those things where if the part is available and it's going to work and it's available through something like, Great Rock Candy Mountain and Amazon, do it. Yeah.
I got a plan.
Yeah.
So his seat that he bought was $19.
Yeah.
Okay, the stock one is $15. So Bed Bath & Beyond sells the purple memory foam 4-inch thick sitting thing.
Yeah.
That can make at least 2, if not 3 seats. Out of
I
that
honestly
fucking
think
thing.
if you're paying for the purple foam, you are paying way too
Well,
much.
whatever, some kind of
I have
memory
old
foam or
seat
something.
covers that I've taken off with old seat.
I was going to
covers.
say, if you see somebody throwing away carpet on the side of the road and you see the carpet pad next to it, you need one roll of Gorilla Tape. And then you can make whatever kind of seat you want.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure I have up in my attic the seat cover and foam from a CB750 King Queen seat.
Right.
That I'm going to put on that bike.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I totally get it, because the only problem I have with my bike
Is the seat.
is the seat.
Yeah.
Because every other part of that bike has already outperformed itself. Like, not joking. We've done horrible things to those bikes.
Yeah.
And had they failed at any point, I would have been like, they earned it.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
I didn't break it doing the whole shot, because I was giving her all she's got.
Yep.
I'm 300 pounds on this little bike. That chain should have been.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Now, we've had a little weird thing that's going on. I'm not actually sure. I want to try tightening down my
Please
motor
do.
mounts and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Like getting that. 'cause
I wonder who
it's-
built that bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, just, tightening, going back over it, because it's been a consistent, like, clunk, clunk.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't been a.
It's like
It's been like a clunk, clunk. Like, maybe something, like in the swing arm or something, just under max
Right.
torque is
Well,
going clunk,
you know what I've noticed, and I noticed it on me, but I noticed it on him and you too.
Right.
Is that when we're riding and you're hitting things, your foot is hitting the Kickstarter
Right.
and it's making a
Yeah.
noise once in a while. Like it's just pushing it back enough to just like.
Phil's was making an interesting sound.
Oh, yeah, there was that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah. I might be ready for some Royal Purple oil.
Something.
I think we might be at Royal Purple, and then next oil change we'll use AMSOIL, and then we'll use a 172 kit. Yeah. I think that my motor, I feel like my motor has, well, My motor has been a break-in experiment.
Yeah.
When he changed your oil,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
and the
was.
sun was glistening.
Where I can
So
tell
was your oil.
anybody who ever asks about these bikes, anybody sitting at this table will say that I have ridden my bike one weekend more than you guys have, because my bike was the first bike to get tried.
That's right.
But also, I have never ever done anything to my bike except demand the most.
Right.
100% of it.
My bike has never, ever had natural wheel speed. So my rear tire has never gone the speed I've been moving ever.
Right.
Either accelerating or decelerating.
You know what I was impressed with was when we got done riding and
Yeah.
we were hanging out and talking and bullshitting for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
After that hour and a half,
Yeah.
I leaned on my bike and
Yeah.
burned my arm.
Also, what shocks me is that after a day of hard sex with my motorcycle, that I can have a cigarette and a beer, and I go over to my bike and one kick, it's like.
And in the morning
Yeah,
when we
right.
first got
I
there,
know.
it was like you just touched the starter, the
Yeah,
Kickstarter,
and it goes.
was like boom.
I have had really expensive motorcycles that were harder to start than this thing was.
In all fairness, I've never had a new bike. I mean, so it's like, I never had a bike that was a
It's
new
the newest
motor.
bike you've ever had.
It's the newest bike I've ever
Yeah, that's
had.
true.
I've never had one.
Yeah, I honestly at this point thought we'd have 4 broken frames.
Yeah.
Right? I thought at this point we'd have 4 broken frames, we'd have 6 or 7 cracked engine mounts and shit like that, and at least
Apparently, the foot pegs coming off them is an issue. They sell an undercradle.
Really?
They sell an undercradle skid plate
That
with
makes it-
integrated foot
Oh.
pegs, so they're no longer bolted to the motor.
well, I will say this: if I put more weight on my feet, I'd probably have less holes in my ass, because that has been an issue. I know for a fact that if my technique was better and I was putting my weight on my feet and breaking those foot pegs, my butt wouldn't probably hurt so much.
Well, and I do think we do need to bring some spanners to like crank the rear shocks.
Oh
down
yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Because my suspension's still set for an 11-year-old.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I think we could probably afford to spend like $25 on shock oil. And
$25. If we take out Chinese viscosity -2 in the front forks and put in
10
anything,
Tranny fluid,
Yeah.
we call them.
transsexual fluid.
Okay.
That's worse.
He's just trying to milk them. That's all. He's just trying to get more of it. That's it.
Gender.
It's gender fluid.
Okay. New rule from Clevelandmoto. From now on, ATF is now officially known as gender fluid.
On that
Ride fast and take chances. Bum, 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 bum.